Chapter 568. Xiao Mei'er Su Fang's young nascent soul stared blankly for a moment before quickly focusing and flying towards the snow-wind continent. Escape. He was escaping. However, he would not escape to anywhere now. From the start of the interrogation until now, there was a ball of fire in his heart. He wanted to go to the snow-wind continent. He wanted to go to the Zunv pavilion. He wanted to ask Xiao Mei'er what happened in front of her. 5 minutes later, there were only about 1,000 celestial sealing sect disciples who could keep up with Su Fang's speed in the sky, mid-air, and on the ground. These 1,000 people were all exceptional experts who had reached the feather transformation realm. Just as they were about to fly out of the Crimson Nimbus continent, Jin Zhongkong asked in confusion, "Brother Yuan, this person is not escaping towards the Spirit Sect's ruins or the Flying Immortal Island. He seems to be going to the Snow-Wind continent." The Snow-Wind continent. The water region was right in front of them. The sky seemed to be affected by a special water region's power, and the heaven and earth were completely submerged in the water region. Yuan Tianzong was shocked. The last time he brought disciples to the Snow-Wind continent to train, they entered the forbidden snow forest. There is also a natural barrier there. Yes, the forbidden snow forest. We should send some experts to the forbidden snow forest first to set up an ambush. If we really let him enter the forest, it will not be easy to find him. Fang Yu's strength and speed are about the same as us. We need to send more experts. No problem. Let them crush the teleportation talisman and set it up first. Yuan Tianzong threw out a token and sent out a few rays of divine sense. Among the experts who were chasing him in the sky, more than 20 people suddenly gathered together and disappeared into the sky. Large amounts of water splashed on the water surface as the Celestial Sealing Sect's experts followed Su Fang closely. "I have to rush to the Zunv pavilion first." Glancing behind, Su Fang activated the thumb ring on his left thumb. Instant space ring. Suddenly, he became a shooting star and instantly cut through the water region. In the blink of an eye, his speed was twice as fast as the experts behind him. So fast, the thousands of Celestial Sealing Sect's experts were all shocked. They could no longer see Su Fang's back. Fortunately, this person has the sect's origin aura in his body. In such a short time, he cannot escape our senses. Heaven and Earth Sensing Technique. Jin Zhongkong used the Heaven and Earth Sensing Technique, and all the experts also increased their speed. However, compared to Su Fang, who had the support of the Origin Treasure, they were still slower. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, Su Fang had left the vast water region and entered the familiar snowy continent that was engulfed by the cold air. In just 10 breaths of time, with the speed of the teleportation talisman, they had passed through the training grounds of many cultivation forces on the Snow-Wind continent. For example, the Eternal Spring Immortal Sect. Zunv Pavilion. A blast of air directly pierced through the air, shattering all the sensing and defensive arrays that Zunv Pavilion had set up in the depths of the snow. What happened? Was it destroyed by the forces of nature? Suddenly, many patrolling disciples flew out from Zunv Pavilion's training hall. Most of them were men, and there were only a few women. This kind of patrol was a tough job and was usually done by male disciples. They saw that from the distant snowy and cold sky to the dojo, all the concealment formations were invisibly triggered. There was also a big hole that was directly penetrated by a huge force from a few kilometers away. In front of them, in the wind and snow of the last layer of the broken barrier, there was a blast of air burning. "There's true qi. Be careful." The patrolling disciples felt that something was wrong. At the same time, they activated their tokens and flew out, summoning their Dharma treasures and surrounding the burning blast of air. The blast of air suddenly dispersed, and Su Fang slowly rose into the air from it. "It's him. I remember. He came to our sect not long ago for an exchange. He's the fourth disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, Fang Yu. It's him. Why did he barge into the outer barrier of my training hall this time? Dozens of disciples recognized Su Fang at a glance. Since the last time he brought the disciples to Xuanv Pavilion for an exchange, he was remembered by everyone in Xuanv Pavilion. Someone who could fight to a draw with Prince Shui was too recognizable. They also knew that Su Fang had another identity. He was one of the only two cultivators who could escape from the inner barrier of the Xianjia Gate. Whoosh, whoosh. Xuanv Pavilion also reacted very quickly. Immediately, hundreds of disciples flew out of the training hall's barrier. Many of them were very powerful, and some were even in the feather transformation realm. Fang Yu. It's really him. At the front were a few women. Zhen Qingqiao, who had interacted with Su Fang before, was among them. She was a sect master and had an extraordinary status. She seemed to have come to deal with this matter together with a few other female disciples who were also sect masters. Su Fang, who was surrounded by the crowd and didn't know why he came, stared coldly at Zhen Qingqiao. Senior Sister Qingqiao, I want to see Wang Yuan. Zhen Qingqiao bowed. Junior Brother Fang, Senior Sister Wang went to the Xianjia Gate. I don't know when she will be back. What do you want? Then I want to see Xiao Mei. She's not here either. Suddenly, a large number of experts appeared from the training hall. The dignified elder Zhang Sun Ying led a group of experts over in a flash. Zhang Sun Ying shouted coldly. He didn't know how to smile, and he didn't look as friendly as he did when he came for the exchange. Su Fang felt hostility from the other party's expression. Elder, it seems that you know why I'm here. Bring her out. I only want to see her once, and then I'll leave on my own. How can an outsider like you meet our sect's disciples as you wish? You're not a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect anymore, right? Zhang Sun Ying coldly replied with a hint of mockery. Not a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect? Zhen Qingqiao and the others didn't understand. At this moment, more and more disciples appeared from the Xuanv Pavilion. There were even Wang Yuan's disciple, Yuan Ling, and the geniuses who had fought with Su Fang back then. Peerless beauty. In front of tens of thousands of disciples, Su Fang laughed. Elder, your ears are really sharp. It hasn't even been half a day since the Celestial Sealing Sect's news. You've been expelled from the Celestial Sealing Sect, and now you're a traitor. Am I right? I'm indeed no longer a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, but that doesn't matter. I'm here to see Xiao Mei today. This old man has already said that our sect's disciples are not people that you, a foreign cultivator, can see just because you want to. Otherwise, if all the cultivators in the world barge into the Tao sect like you and publicly ask to see our disciples, then how can our Xuanv Pavilion establish itself in the Zhuotian realm? Zhang Suning, your tricks are useless against me. Bring her out to see me. If she's injured in the slightest, your Xuanv Pavilion will have to make up for it. You traitor who doesn't know what's good for you, coming to my sect to spout nonsense. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Celestial Sealing Sect can tolerate your arrogance, but our sect can't. Prepare to kill this child. Zhang Sun Ying suddenly raised his arm and ordered the surrounding experts. Kill. The experts of the Xuanv Pavilion couldn't accept it at all. Why did they have to kill a righteous disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect in the blink of an eye? And it was a cultivator they knew. Su Fang's killing intent seeped out. Zhang Suning, it seems you old fellow must have done something shameful between me and Mei Er. You're just a mad dog. The Celestial Sealing Sect wants to kill you, but you came to my Xuanv Pavilion to bite people. Zhang Sun Ying's gaze sank. The surrounding experts began to release their auras. Haha, do you think this can scare me? Su Fang was stunned. The Celestial Sealing Sect. For the sake of the Celestial Sealing Sect, what did you do to your disciples? I'm very sure that May Er wouldn't tell you about the Celestial Sealing Sect for no reason. You're an elder, so you can give me an explanation. You also know that I'm an elder. Then what's your status? Zhang Suning suddenly smiled. Alright, if you want to see someone, I'll let you see someone you want to see. At the same time, all disciples remember this. As long as you're a sect disciple, you must prioritize the sect. Buzz. After he finished speaking, he formed a seal. A door suddenly appeared in the barrier behind him. The door was embedded in the barrier. When it opened, over a dozen experts floated inside. In the middle of them was a snowy space. Xiao Mei was wearing a snowy robe as she sat cross-legged in that space. Mei. When Su Fang saw this, he angrily charged out. That was because the space Xiao Mei was in was being controlled by those experts. That meant that Xiao Mei had lost her freedom. She had actually been imprisoned in that space by the Zunv Pavilion. I was right. I knew that Mei wouldn't betray me. He actually smiled in gratification, causing even more of the Zunv Pavilion's disciples to be confused. Zhang Suning suddenly flashed to the side of the door, casting a dignified luster at all the disciples. This is my sect's master's disciple, Xiao Mei. She is also junior apprentice Sister Wang's disciple. Last time, she was sent to the Forbidden Snow Forest to carry out a secret mission. She contributed greatly to the sect and was conferred the title of Master. Master. Su Fang was startled. He carefully examined Xiao Mei's robe. Sure enough, there was an accessory similar to Zhen Qingque's. It symbolized the high and mighty master of the Zunv Pavilion. Zhang Suning said proudly, Sect Master Xiao performed a great service in the Forbidden Snow Forest. He helped our sect discover the secrets of the Xianjia Gate and was promoted to Sect Master. All the disciples present must also learn from Sect Master Xiao and perform meritorious deeds for the sect. Nonsense. Su Fangdao was furious. His gaze fell on Xiao Mei, who was deep within the door. Mei, I came here because I believe you. You wouldn't have told the Zunv Pavilion about the Xianjia Gate. It must have been the Zunv Pavilion that forced you. Zunv Pavilion is truly despicable to treat you like this. Master Xiao, our sect cannot be rude. Since Fang Yu wants to ask you, you should help him. Our grand sect doesn't even have this bit of magnanimity. Zhang Suning nodded towards Xiao Mei. Xiao Mei slowly opened her mouth. In her eyes, there was not the slightest trace of Su Fang's existence. Senior apprentice Brother Fang, I did indeed obtain the secret of the Xianjia Gate from you. As a disciple of the Zunv Pavilion, I have a responsibility. I must report this secret to the sect and help it grow stronger day by day. Mei. As if he had been struck by lightning, Su Fang took a step back. His eyes were bloodshot. His fingernails dug deep into his skin and flesh. Xiao Mei continued, the stronger the sect is, the more likely it is for us to become strong. Only by cultivating in the sect will we be able to walk further. I have an obligation to do everything in my power to help the sect become stronger. Senior apprentice Brother Fang, you can only blame yourself for trusting outsiders too easily. Outsiders! Mei, I have never treated you as an outsider. Have you forgotten the first time we met? Have you forgotten everything we experienced in the Zhao country? Have you forgotten the Forbidden Snow Forest? Outsiders, you know me. This isn't you. This isn't you. I was chased by over 10,000 people from the Celestial Sealing Sect. I came here just to see you. Tell me loudly. The Zunv Pavilion forced you to do all of this. You didn't do it willingly. I only want one sentence. One sentence and I'll be satisfied. Then I'll take you away from the Zunv Pavilion. Su Fang took a step forward. Blood seeped out of his fingertips and burned his arm, dripping down bit by bit. Inside the gate, Xiao Mei was still as cold as a statue. Senior apprentice Brother Fang, I truly did willingly report everything to the sect. I don't think I did anything wrong, because I am a member of the Zunv Pavilion. I believe that any fellow disciple here, if they were in my position, would resolutely choose the sect. Chapter 569. I don't believe Su Fang said with a trembling expression. He no longer had the resolute look in his eyes. Come here in front of me. Why is it so hard for me to just say a word from you? Zhang Sun-ing suddenly waved his hand. Fang Yu, are you done yet? The space Xiao Mei was in and the door instantly disappeared. Bang! The instant the space disappeared, it was like a bomb had exploded from Su Fang's body. He immediately rushed forward. Whoosh! Knowing that ordinary core disciples couldn't stop him, they personally flew out and blocked Su Fang outside Zunv Pavilion, not allowing him to take another step forward. Why are you so cruel? What benefits do you have by betraying me? I don't believe it. That was the first time I saw you at Purple Chi Mountain. At that time I was just a mountain village youth. With just one glance, you were like a goddess descending to the mortal world, deeply imprinted in my mind. I can't wipe it away. In the forbidden snow forest, I had planned to take you away from Zunv Pavilion. We could return to the Zhao country and do whatever we wanted. We could even return to the Zhao country and start anew. So what if I suddenly found the Scarlet Sky continent? I'd rather stay there with you. Facing the large number of feather transformation realm experts from Zunv Pavilion, Su Fang stopped in midair and looked at the door that had disappeared, as well as Xiao Mei. His eyes instantly widened and became hollow. What he saw was not a group of experts. It felt like there was an insurmountable gap separating him from Zunv Pavilion. Not more than 100 disciples took advantage of Su Fang's hesitation and unleashed Xian Guang. They used their feather transformation realm aura to create a barrier, immediately sealing the space Su Fang was in. According to the information Master Xiao provided, this kid was able to escape from the Xianjia Gate. He seems to have peerless strength. He has a human Emperor Ming wheel from the Celestial Sealing sect. There's also a 6-story gold and silver pagoda and an ancient mirror that can suppress any big goblin. It should be a Dao artifact. More than a dozen high-level figures followed Zhang Sun-ing as they walked over. They took Su Fang by surprise, and only then did their expressions relax. Zhang Sun-ing said, "This guy got the human emperor's bright chakram, which helped our Zunv Pavilion. When the time comes, we can use this fragment to do business with the Doichi and the Xinyuan Empire. In addition, this guy is full of treasures and his cultivation is so amazing. He must have a big secret. We must suppress him in our Zunv Pavilion." Suppressing him isn't difficult. What if he escapes? If there's no other way, then we'll just kill him. We can't let the Immortal Sealing School have a handle on us. Even if we kill Fang Yu, the Immortal Sealing School won't know that our goal is to get his treasures. Zhang Sun-ying's cold, murderous aura immediately swept towards the barrier imprisoning Su Fang. Su Fang, however, stood within the sealing barrier. His eyes were still empty as he stared in the direction of the spirit formation Dao field where Xiao Mei had disappeared. Chi. A large number of experts, as well as Zhang Sun-ing, approached step by step. He still did not move. However, from Su Fang's body, a burning black flame suddenly burst out. As soon as this flame appeared, it emitted a fiendish aura. The fiendish aura also contains the aura of the Devil Dao. Zhang Sun-ing waved his hand and ordered the surrounding disciples to retreat. He also stopped. The aura of the Devil Dao. It seems this kid cultivates a Devil Dao chi art. No wonder his cultivation is so shocking. So it's because he cultivates a Devil Dao art that increases his cultivation. Chi. The fiendish flame burned around Su Fang's eyes and body. It grew more and more terrifying until it burned him into a black fiery man. Su Fang did not seem to notice this change at all. PFFF. When his empty eyes were occupied by the fiendish power, a bloody mist suddenly shot out from his right shoulder. Then, an evil thing that looked like the devil horn of a true devil slowly drilled out from his right shoulder. He's turning into a devil. It's not turning into a devil. He hasn't fallen into the devil Tao. This seems to be the legendary berserk. His consciousness is filled with hatred and anger, and he's almost crazy. He's unable to control himself. The surrounding Zunv Pavilion female feather transformation experts were so frightened that they backed away. Zhang Sun-ing was shocked. It's not berserk. It's almost madness. It's called the berserk loss of will. If it really is the berserk loss of will, then he's almost fallen into the devil Tao. At the very least, he's half a step into the devil Tao. What a pity! For better or for worse, he's still a genius. Geniuses like him, for the sake of power, would do anything to strengthen themselves. In the end, his mental state became unstable, and he cultivated a devil art. He planted a devil will in the depths of his consciousness. Elder, we were worried about how to suppress him. Who would have thought that he would fall into berserk loss of will and become a lunatic? He no longer has the power to control himself. Any Eternal Realm disciple would be able to suppress him. Don't be careless. Berserk loss of will only cause him to lose control of himself. But the devilish flame contains his hatred, anger, and killing intent. It will instinctively attack any cultivator. Everyone looked at Zhang Sun-ing. Zhang Sun-ing waved his arm, causing the surrounding feather transformation experts to shiver. Not daring to be careless, they slowly began to surround the barrier. Whoosh! Boom! Just as Su Fang was about to be suppressed by Zunv Pavilion. At the front of the dojo, the formations that Su Fang had broken through and shattered were suddenly shattered by a group of figures surging toward the dojo. This movement could be said to be world-shaking. Yuan Tianzong appeared from the aura, his eyes blazing with a domineering light. He shouted, "Fang Yu is a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect." Yuan Tianzong. Zhang Sun-ing immediately frowned when he saw him. Another figure also appeared from the side. It was Jin Zhangkong. A disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect should be dealt with by the Celestial Sealing Sect. Elder Zhang Sun. The two elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect are here. The higher-ups of Zunv Pavilion immediately looked at Zhang Sun-ing. He transmitted a thought to everyone, and they immediately quieted down. Zhang Sun-ing cupped his fists towards Yuan Tianzong and Jin Zhangkong. Fang Yu is indeed a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. However, that was before. It seems that Fang Yu was expelled from the Celestial Sealing Sect. He is no longer a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Yuan Tianzong replied strongly, Elder Zhangsun, Fang Yu has the power of the Celestial Sealing Sect in his body. He is a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Please hand him over to the Celestial Sealing Sect. That won't do. Zhang Sun-ing decisively refused. He pointed at the unresponsive Su Fang. This person actually dared to intrude into the Celestial Sealing Sect and steal our treasures and cultivation technique. Since he was discovered by the Celestial Sealing Sect, we can't just hand him over to the two of you. We have to interrogate him first and retrieve the treasures we lost. Only then can we hand him over to the Celestial Sealing Sect. Jin Zhangkong suppressed his aura. Elder Zhangsun, we chased after Fang Yu all the way here. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, he was able to enter the Zunv Pavilion's dojo and steal treasures. If this excuse of yours spreads out in the Zhuotian domain, who would believe it? Zhang Sun-ing sneered. Fang Yu is also not a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. He also stole our sect's treasures. Today, even if the Celestial Sealing Sect wants him, we will not hand him over. If this spreads out, people will think that the Zunv Pavilion is afraid of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Brother Yuan, it seems like the Zunv Pavilion is determined to keep Fang Yu here today. Absolutely not. This person still has the secrets of the celestial sealing sect. If we hand him over to the Zunv Pavilion, wouldn't that be giving the celestial sealing sect to the Zunv Pavilion? Perhaps they also think that Fang Yu still has secrets on him. That's why they are so adamant about keeping him here. Do you think the celestial sealing sect is easy to bully? The two elders were secretly shocked. They seemed to have instantly seen through Zhang Sunying's thoughts. Boom! Boom! At this moment, there was a shocking shattering aura behind the two of them. A few elders of the celestial sealing sect arrived. Then, a large number of disciples of the celestial sealing sect arrived at the Zunv Pavilion's training hall one by one. Zhang Suning, Fang Yu is a disciple of our sect. Do you think that the celestial sealing sect is a pushover? Yuan Tianzong suddenly said sternly, Fine, you just need to say the word. If you insist on keeping him here, then from today onwards, the celestial sealing sect will no longer have anything to do with the Zunv Pavilion. Furthermore, the celestial sealing sect will declare war on the Zunv Pavilion and take back our disciple. This is not arrogance, nor is it a challenge. The celestial sealing sect just wants a disciple that belongs to our sect. Even if everyone knows, the celestial sealing sect will still stand firm. As expected of an elder, he directly issued a challenge to the Zunv Pavilion. There was no room for negotiation. Once he said that, not only were the disciples of the Zunv Pavilion shocked, but the experts of the celestial sealing sect who had rushed over were also astonished. Who would have thought that the moment they arrived at the Zunv Pavilion, they would have a falling out with the major powers of the snow-wind continent? Suddenly, a large number of disciples of the Zunv Pavilion looked at Zhang Suning. Elder! Declare war! Although Zhang Suning was an elder, he was not the Grand Elder. He did not have the authority to make such a decision. Both of you, please wait. Let me talk to the higher-ups of the sect. He had no choice. He cupped his fists at Yuan Tianzong and Jin Chongkong. We are all old friends. I believe we can wait. Yuan Tianzong said forcefully, Fine, we will take a step back. However, you can clearly tell your higher-ups that Fang Yu is a disciple of the celestial sealing sect. Even if we have to fight with the Zunv Pavilion today, we will take him away. Furthermore, tens of thousands of our sect's elites are entering the snow-wind continent. If you want to fight, we can fight at any time. Zhang Suning immediately retreated, striking out a series of seals. Look! Bang! Bang! At that moment, many disciples around the Zunv Pavilion's barrier cried out in alarm. Then, two sounds of something shattering could be heard. They looked at the barrier. It turned out that Su Fang, who had entered a berserk state, had a blood-colored horn that looked similar to the true demon's devil horn on his left and right shoulders. These two blood-colored horns were different from the true demon's devil horn. The true demon's devil horn grew on top of the true demon's head. Furthermore, it was completely black and was a standing horn. However, the blood-colored horns that grew on Su Fang's shoulders were also standing horns like the devil horn. As they grew, when the horns reached the height of Su Fang's cheeks, the blood-colored horns began to curve in front of Su Fang's face. It was a bit like a cow's horn, but the cow's horn was curved to both sides. However, the blood-colored horns on Su Fang's shoulders began to grow in front of him. They only stopped growing when they reached a foot out of his body. These two blood-colored horns were nearly 2 feet long. They curved forward and did not look like they were growing on Su Fang's shoulders. It was just that he was wearing an armor with blood-colored horns. Other than the blood-colored horns growing on his shoulders, Su Fang's other body parts did not change at all. Monster! Monster! Many of the Zunv Pavilion's disciples turned pale with fright. The thousands of disciples from the immortal sealing sect also had similar expressions when they saw Su Fang's transformation. That was their immortal sealing sect's disciple. How did he suddenly become a monster? Several elders of the immortal sealing sect gathered together. Yuan Tianzong looked at Jin Chongkong and the others. Brother Jin, could that be the legendary berserk blood transformation that is similar to the devil transformation of the devil Dao? Chapter 570. Qi Berserk Blood Transformation. Jin Zhongkong was stunned, as if he couldn't bear to see the genius born in his grotto heaven become such a monster. This kid's life is over. Why are you still pitying him? An elder said disdainfully. We didn't come here to save him, but to bring him back and obtain the memories in his consciousness. Yes, who cares if he's berserk or blood transformation, as long as he's still breathing. The Xianjia Gate must not fall into the hands of the Zunv Pavilion. Now that they have shed all pretense of cordiality, if they really get the Xianjia Gate, the first enemy they will destroy in the future will be our celestial sealing sect. Wait a while more. Even if we make a move, it won't be a small matter. The Zunv Pavilion has more than 100,000 years of foundation, so they can ignore our celestial sealing sect. The elders said one after another, waiting for the strong negotiation with the Zunv Pavilion. As for Su Fang's life and death, they didn't care at all. Master! Master! Both sides were at daggers drawn and in a standoff. Inside the sealed enchantment, Su Fang, who had entered a berserk state and had undergone blood transformation, felt like an evil body formed by the interweaving of evil and resentment. A cultivator, not a demon. There was only some demonic aura in that evil aura. At this moment, in the depths of Su Fang's divine aperture, around the young infant's consciousness, Su Fang was immersed in a world where only Xiao Mei existed. His eyes and heart were floating in front of him, and the lovely Xiao Mei seemed to be in the forbidden snowy forest, and Xiao Mei was strolling in the snow forest with him. Nothing was important anymore. There was no celestial sealing sect, Zunv Pavilion, Night Spirit sect, Green Lotus Sword sect, Doichi and Xinyuan Empire. In the divine aperture, the original spirits of the Rakshasa Jade Bottle and the Divine Image Jade Annulus were activating their magic power and divine might, calling out to Su Fang's young infant. However, Su Fang couldn't hear it at all. He was immersed in his subconscious, in the illusory world where he was with Xiao Mei. Sister you're a Dao artifact. Is there nothing you can do? Rakshasa Yu Chingping looked at Yu worriedly. Yu was also helpless. You and I are just magic treasures. Although I am a Dao treasure, Dao treasures do not have the ability to help cultivators recover their wills. If I can't awaken Master from the berserk world, even if I don't turn into a demon, I will still be killed by those cultivators outside. There's nothing we can do about it. Master's current state is partially related to cultivating the heavenly demon book and absorbing the big goblin's power. The other reason is that Master suffered too great of a blow. Yes, betrayal. Even if we are Dao artifacts, being betrayed by humans is unacceptable, let alone humans who have the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Master was betrayed and deceived by the woman he loves and cares about the most. That's why he is filled with resentment. Coupled with the devilish will hidden in the devilish qi in his body and the resentment in the demonic qi, he has entered a berserk state. If this continues and Master is unable to clear his mind, only I can unleash my divine might to protect Master from being killed by cultivators. Sister Yuer's speed is not her advantage, but she can shatter the sealing barrier. Once she escapes, mortal cultivators will not be able to stop her. That's not necessarily true. If the Zunv Pavilion and the Immortal Sealing Sect use all their strength, they can also stop me. It's just that with me around, they can't harm Master. However, if this continues, Master will not wake up from his berserk state. He will be crippled for the rest of his life. The divine aspect Jade Annulus and the Rakshasa Jade Bottle could only revolve around Su Fang's young nascent soul in the divine aperture. They did not have the ability to revive Su Fang. Whoosh! At this critical juncture, suddenly, A red mirror light flashed into the divine aperture and circled above Su Fang's young nascent soul. Primordial chaos, sacred realm. The ancient mirror flashed and released an aura that directly repelled the Rakshasa jade bottle and the divine aspect jade annulus origin spirits, as if it wanted to protect its master. The divine aspect jade annulus could not resist and stared in shock. What kind of Tao artifact is this? The Rakshasa jade bottle trembled in fear. I don't know. Master doesn't know either. I tried to sense this ancient mirror many times in the past, but it didn't respond at all. It doesn't seem to have an origin spirit. It has reached the stage of returning to its original state. The divine aspect jade annulus could not tell what kind of Dharma treasure the primordial chaos sacred realm was. A cold chi swept into the head of Su Fang's young nascent soul. We will be together forever. All right. In the future, we will return to Zhao and rebuild our family Su. Especially on the Purple Cloud Mountain, where we met you, we will build a garden. In the depths of his mind, Su Fang was in a daze with a blissful smile. He held Xiao Meier's hand and walked through the snowy plains. In this world, they were the only ones who existed. It's time to wake up. Suddenly, a cold handprint pressed down on Su Fang's shoulder from behind. Crack! This handprint had boundless cold chi. In an instant, the young nascent soul in the divine aperture was frozen by the cold chi. Then, in the deepest world of his mind, Su Fang's empty eyes disappeared. Xiao Mei and the snowy plains were twisted together with the snowflakes and swept into the deep space. It's me. Su Fang's consciousness looked around. All he saw was darkness. He did not know where he was, but when he turned around, he saw the figure of a woman floating in front of him. He could only see the outline of her petite figure, but not her specific appearance. While he was wondering who the mysterious woman was, he was suddenly shocked by the 9 yin chi she released. "Senior, it's you. Senior." He recognized that this woman was the mysterious woman in the primordial chaos sacred realm. Why was she here? Could this be the primordial chaos sacred realm space? No. Su Fang gradually calmed down. He felt that he had a very long dream. It seemed that in the dream, he had returned to the celestial sealing sect, been interrogated by the higher-ups, and then came to the Zhuanv pavilion. The mysterious woman said, "Because of your resentment, your mind was blinded and you entered a berserk state. You were just one step away from falling into the demonic Tao. Fortunately, I sensed that your yang qi was beginning to turn dark. I came in time and injected the 9 yin qi to wake you up. Otherwise, you would have been crippled for the rest of your life. The berserk state caused me to fall into the demonic Tao." Finally, everything came back to him. As he cried out in alarm, he suddenly felt some kind of power cutting his heart. A heart-wrenching pain began to spread throughout his body. He pressed his chest and shed tears of blood. "Mayor, you failed me. Why did you choose me and the Zhuanv pavilion? Why did you choose the Zhuanv pavilion?" "Enough!" The mysterious woman's voice was like a bell, and Su Fang's eyes trembled. "Let go of your personal feelings. At your level, such a thing shouldn't happen. You've become an immortal and obtained the Tao. Only then are you qualified. Furthermore, why did you bury yourself for a woman who betrayed you? You'd rather enter a dream than accept reality." Silence. At this moment, Su Fang was speechless. The mysterious woman smiled faintly. "Isn't she the first woman you've seen naked?" "Not only that." At this moment, Su Fang felt extremely ashamed in front of the mysterious woman. He didn't seem like a man at all. "What you've done and what you've done, as long as I use a bit of my divine might, I'll know everything. Especially since you and I are connected to the primordial chaos sacred realm. Forget it. Let's not talk about your sore spot. You have to throw away the past. You almost lost the cultivation you worked so hard to obtain. Was it worth it? Think about it carefully. You're no longer the cultivator who just started cultivating the 9 yang 9 transformations. You've experienced countless things. Look at the demons you've encountered and the experts you've encountered in the mortal realm. Think about them. Is cultivation more important, strength more important, or a woman more important? Even if a woman is more important, do you think it's worth it to ruin your life for a woman who isn't worth your love? This isn't the world of cultivation. You should have walked out of the berserk world. You should have a clear understanding of the world of cultivation. Strength reigns supreme. This is the law of this world. Lust and lust are just stumbling blocks on the path of cultivation. A genius like you shouldn't be hindered by stumbling blocks. You should resolutely stride past them. The reason why Xian New Pavilion has existed in the mortal world for so long is because the cultivator who created it understood this principle. He allowed the female disciples to sever their lust and walk on the path of cultivation. Junior understands. You should also understand this. Go. Make the small world remember you. Make your name last for eternity. Make cultivators fear you. Make your enemies submit to you. Make the heavenly Tao acknowledge you. 6 yang meridians, you have to work hard. The 9 yang 9 transformations isn't as simple as you think. I'm still waiting for the day when you and I can meet and let the primordial chaos sacred realm see the light of day again and shake the 3 realms. Whoosh! After the mysterious woman finished speaking, she turned into a hand seal and suddenly fled. Buzz! Within the divine aperture's space, the young nascent soul was wrapped in ice. As the primordial chaos sacred realm disappeared, the ice shattered. Su Fang's gaze returned to its former profound state and he revealed the aura of an overlord. Master! The divine image Jade Annulus and Rakshasa Jade Qingping excitedly welcomed him. It's nothing. I just had a dream. It's time to wake up. Su Fang smiled indifferently. Then his gaze sank. The Vermilion Emperor's young nascent soul appeared in his divine aperture. Berserk blood transformation. What exactly is it? The Vermilion Emperor lazily said. This Emperor. Su Fang waved his hand. Wait, shouldn't you be calling me master? At this moment, such a simple sentence and a cold gaze caused the Vermilion Emperor, the 2 yang meridians, and Su Fang to freeze. Master! Su Fang's divine aura seemed like he was about to kill the Vermilion Emperor in an instant. Those cold eyes didn't have any of the familiar luster of the past. It felt like they came from a bottomless abyss. The Vermilion Emperor compromised. Ever since the day it was suppressed by Su Fang, it had thought of itself as the Pig Horse King, an ancient divine beast. It was impossible for it to recognize a mortal as its master. A divine beast. How could the Pig Horse King be willing to accept this? Master, the Berserk blood transformation is similar to falling into the Devil Tao. They both lose their minds and are dominated by the Devil Tao. Once a cultivator falls into the Devil Tao, they become a human devil. However, the Berserk blood transformation is just resentment in one's heart. It devours and blinds one's mind. The Berserk blood transformation rarely occurs. Even if it does, it won't happen. Only 1 in 10,000 cultivators can undergo the Berserk blood transformation at the same time. The Berserk blood transformation causes Master's body to change, making it different from ordinary humans. This is probably related to Master absorbing the true devil blood plate and the aura of the true devil's blood. Now that Master has recovered your mind, you are still in the Berserk blood transformation state. Furthermore, your Berserk blood transformation state will never change. Of course, unless Master purifies the true devil's blood and Devil Tao energy in every corner of your body, you might not undergo the Berserk blood transformation. The Vermilion Emperor answered truthfully. This was also the first time it had lowered its noble head in front of Su Fang. Is there a possibility of falling into the Devil Tao after undergoing the Berserk blood transformation? Asked Su Fang. The Vermilion Emperor replied, there is a 1 in 3 chance. It depends on whether Master can control the Devil Dao energy in your body. With a thought from Su Fang, the Vermilion Emperor disappeared. From today onwards, I will become a peerless expert. Only then can I control my own fate and control everything. I will no longer let others down on me. I will have heaven and earth acknowledge me. I will not leave a single one of my enemies alive. I will fill heaven and earth with the corpses of my enemies. I would rather let the world down than let the world down on me. Su Fang coldly shouted from within the divine aperture's space. Even the Rakshasa jade bottle and divine image jade annulus were shaken. Chapter 571. I'd rather betray the world. I don't want the world to betray me. At this moment, blood horns grew on the shoulders of the young infant floating in the divine aperture. Blood transformation had already merged with his bone marrow and energy. Even his consciousness was not spared. The divine image jade wall's primordial spirit retreated. Master, your young infant has become 10 times stronger. Really? This is how I look when I enter berserk mode. Su Fang gazed at it proudly. He suddenly felt that the blood horns on his shoulders were indeed filled with strong physical power. For some reason, it seemed to give his physical body and young infant an indestructible power. Rakshasa Yu Qingping stood far away. Master, legend has it that once berserk, one's strength will also increase. It seems that the legend is true. Master, not only did you enter berserk mode, you also have the ability to transform. Humph. Su Fang did not think it was powerful. He sneered and immediately merged with his physical body. At this moment, his first feeling was not from the shackles of the barrier of Xuanv Pavilion. It was the blood horns. His empty eyes became as deep as the stars. Looking at the 2 blood horns, his strength directly entered the Ascension realm. Berserk blood transformation gave him strength instead. Xuanv Pavilion's celestial sealing sect. He glanced left and right. For some reason, his body was emitting a terrifying cold aura. The cold aura contained an evil aura, especially the blood horns on his shoulders. ZZ. With the strength of his perfect realm physical body, the 2 blood horns drilled into his shoulders again. So this pair of blood horns is mostly formed from my bones. It seems that Yu was right. Cultivating the heavenly demon book and absorbing the power of the big goblin has planted an evil power in my body. After berserk, blood transformation gave birth to this pair of blood horns. With blood transformation, my strength has increased. In the future, I will have to cultivate the heavenly demon book and absorb the power of the big goblin at the same time. He liked the berserk blood transformation because it gave him strength. I'll wait and see what the 2 factions can discuss. Suppressing the berserk power, Su Fang also felt that there was a voice in his consciousness that seemed to want him to continue berserk. Moreover, almost 1/10 of the energy in his body contained an evil aura. Both of you. Zhang Suning turned around at this time, gathering the seal in his hands. He looked at Yuan Tianzong and Jin Chongkong and said, "Our sect's higher-ups have just come to a conclusion. In the end, we still have to bring Fang Yu back to the Dao Hall first. He stole our sect's Dharma treasures and mystical abilities. Our sect will not allow our foundation to be revealed. We seek the celestial sealing sect's understanding." If that's the case, Yuan Tianzong, Jin Chongkong and the other elders all had cold faces. Jin Zhongkong shouted angrily, "Then we can only take action by force and take him back from your dojo." In an instant, the disciples of the Xuanv Pavilion and the Celestial Sealing School could tell that a battle was about to break out. And all of this was for the sake of a single disciple. Between the 2 sects, there were many disciples who knew each other. No one could have predicted that the relationship between the 2 sects would develop to such an extent. Many higher-ups of Xuanv Pavilion looked at Zhang Suning, as if they were waiting for his response. Zhang Suning slowly condensed his qi. The Celestial Sealing School is too overbearing. Yuan Tianzong said, "It's not that we're overbearing. It's just that your Zunv pavilion has gone too far. Not only did you not return our disciple, but you even want to interrogate him. Then wouldn't our Celestial Sealing School's 7 divine abilities and secrets be known by the Zunv pavilion?" "That's right. I've always treated the Xian Maiden Pavilion as an ally. But your actions have truly disappointed us. Forcefully abducting a disciple of our sect? How is that any different from bandits?" Jin Chongkong added. "It's a fact that Fang Yu charged into our Dao Hall. You can confirm that with your own eyes. How can you easily release someone who charged into our Celestial Sealing School's Dao Hall?" Zhang Sun Ying suddenly ordered, "Take him away." If we let you take him away, do you really think my Celestial Sealing School is weak and easy to bully? Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Without any hesitation, Yuan Tianzong made a grabbing motion towards the sealing ward controlled by the 100 powerful experts. "Yuan Tianzong, you and I are both experts of the same generation. It's been thousands of years since we've fought. I've been waiting for this moment for thousands of years." Qi, one of the Zunv Pavilion's elders, Zhang Sun Ying, suddenly charged forward. He knew how terrifying Yuan Tianzong's attack was as an elder. Even if the Zunv Pavilion had 100 nascent transformation experts, they still wouldn't be able to easily take away Su Fang. Sword Qi filled the sky as it slashed toward the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. Boom! The 2 elders, who also represented the 2 great sects, actually began to fight just like that. The Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw and the Sword Qi collided. The entire sky shattered. Space shattered. That was impossible. At the very least, no matter how strong a Tribulation Realm cultivator was, they still wouldn't be able to shatter the space of a minor world. Yuan Tianzong and Zhang Sun Ying were both peak existences. Their attacks were so terrifying that they could shatter space. This was the power an elder of a large power should possess. Boom! The shock waves that shattered space also sent countless experts flying. As for the restrictions that had trapped Su Fang, they were also shattered. The formation formed by 100 experts was unable to resist the power of 2 elders. Kill! Kill! Amidst the destruction, Su Fang didn't flee. He fled. Don't let Fang Yu take the chance to escape. The left and right sides of the Celestial Sealing Sect and Zunv Pavilion were facing off against each other. In the shattered space above, the experts and disciples of the 2 powers charged toward Su Fang. Su Fang looked at the experts from both sides and shook his head disdainfully. Escape? Who says I want to escape? If I want to leave, I'm not escaping. If I want to leave, who can stop me? Jin Chongkong suddenly charged out and ordered the disciples charging toward Su Fang, "Capture Fang Yu and bring him back to the sect." At this moment, a middle-aged woman appeared from the Zunv Pavilion. "Jin Chongkong, I won't let you take him away." "So it's Xuanzhen Nun. I've never fought with women." Jin Chongkong was startled. Xuanzhen Nun might be middle-aged, but her eyebrows were still as beautiful as the moon. "You and I are both elders. Do you think I'm not qualified to fight with you? Don't underestimate female cultivators." Pow, pow, pow. A large number of disciples from both sides attacked each other, creating a destructive shockwave that swept toward Su Fang. In an instant, Su Fang was sucked into the shockwave. This time, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Don't even think about it. Several Celestial Sealing Gates Ascension Realm disciples used their Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws to grab Su Fang. On the other side, several Zunv Pavilion female cultivators threw out a talisman. Heart-cleansing incantation. When the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws fell, the talisman shattered. The power of the shattering shattered the Heavenly Dragon Divine Claws. Where is he? Dead. Clearly, the Zunv Pavilion's Celestial Sealing Sect disciples were slightly stronger. After suppressing the heavenly dragon divine claws released by the celestial sealing sect disciples, they immediately arrived at the shattered shockwave. However, they couldn't see Su Fang's shadow. Chi poisonous arrows suddenly shot out from behind the shockwave. Not good. Several female cultivators screamed. Their beautiful faces turned pale. Most of them dodged, but 2 of them were still hit. The 2 injured female cultivators fell to the ground. However, one of them was immediately caught by a figure. Then, the figure disappeared mysteriously. In another area where a large number of attacks fell, the surroundings were filled with a dust storm. Their vision could only see a few feet away. The injured female cultivator suddenly saw the figure that saved her. She struggled in fear. Fang Yu. It turned out that the figure next to her was Su Fang, who had disappeared. However, his strange appearance now scared the seriously injured Zhen Qingqiao so much that she struggled in fear. Su Fang didn't make a move. Instead, he retracted his aura. Senior Sister Qingqiao, if I wanted to kill you, you would already be dead. I only saved you because I want to know if your Zunv Pavilion has already taken action against Xianjia sect. Zhen Qingqiao was worried. This is our sect's secret. As a sect master, I can't tell you. Once I tell you, I will definitely end up with my cultivation crippled. Then I won't ask anymore. I just have one last request. It's not a request. Just one sentence. Help me tell Xiao Mei that I don't hate her. I hope that she can fulfill her wish at Zunv Pavilion. You! Sorry to disturb you. After Su Fang finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared, leaving behind an afterimage. What kind of speed is this? Zhen Qingqiao looked around in shock. Okay, I'll help you pass on this sentence. At this moment, activating the Divine Image Jade Annulus and using the Zhuo Tian Realm's origin, coupled with the explosive power of the Instant Space Ring, Su Fang perfectly hid his aura. He had arrived above the 9 heavens. With a sneer, he looked down at the Zunv Pavilion and the Celestial Sealing Sect's experts fighting. Even the Zunv Pavilion's training hall was about to shatter. It's rare to see 2 big forces fighting in the Zhuo Tian realm. How can I miss such a good show? He smiled faintly and continued to observe the destructive aura spreading in all directions. During this time, many experts from the Celestial Sealing Sect and the Zunv Pavilion had entered. But, all of a sudden, the power of fate began to spread in all directions from below. Su Fang's expression changed. The heaven and earth sensing technique is still based on my aura. It must be the Celestial Sealing Sect's elder who's sensing my whereabouts. Chi. He immediately moved away and flew in another direction. Kid, what a powerful hiding ability! He didn't know that at this moment, a ray of light shot out from the depths of the sky from the Zunv Pavilion's training hall. The light contained the supreme power of the Yang Soul. Not only did it want to find Su Fang's location, but it also wanted to suppress him. Whoosh, whoosh. He was an absolutely powerful expert of the ancient times. Su Fang had a way to deal with it. He took the initiative to release his aura. At the same time, he activated his blink spatial ring to dodge the attack. There's someone there. An elder from the Celestial Sealing Sect suddenly appeared in Su Fang's location. It's Elder Ling Shua from the Spirit Vulture Paradise, one of the Celestial Sealing Sect's 7 great paradises. Su Fang smiled when he saw the elder. The Spirit Vulture Paradise's Elder Ling Shua. He was in existence as powerful as Yuan Tianzong and Jin Chongkong. A middle-aged female expert suddenly charged over. It was Xuanzhen Nun, who had fought with Jin Chongkong before. She said coldly, Elder Ling Shua, he's from the Zunv Pavilion. Pow! Just as Taoist Nun Xianzhen was about to stop Elder Ling Shua, a heavenly dragon divine claw grabbed onto her space and pulled her downward. That damned Jin Chongkong! Xuanzhen Nun cursed inwardly as she was submerged in the killing aura below. Fang Yu, come back with me. Elder Ling Shua exploded with golden light and directly suppressed Su Fang. Elder Ling Shua, aren't you little friend Ling Shua? You actually became an elder. Just as Su Fang was about to dodge, he suddenly noticed something. However, he discovered something. He retreated a distance and saw a white-haired old woman suddenly crossing the void from Xian Nu Pavilion's Dao field. The old woman's gaze was the same one that had attacked Su Fang before. When Elder Ling Shua saw the old woman charge over, he quickly retreated. He could only retreat. Granny Heartless, you're not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. I'm just in case you people attack the Xuanv Pavilion today. The white-haired old woman didn't chase after him. Instead, she revealed her true body. She had the appearance of a woman in her 60s. She had white hair and many wrinkles on her curly face. Chapter 572. Heartless Grandma. Looking at her curly face, she did not seem as scary as before. However, that was not the case. The moment she appeared, she scared off the elders of the Vulture Grotto Heaven. Su Fang's first impression of Heartless Grandma was that she was cold-hearted and unapproachable. Su Fang was secretly alarmed. Heartless Grandma's cultivation level is very high. She should be around the same level as Li Ziqing, and even higher than the great Emperor Dipper of the Xinyuan Empire. She is almost on par with the Lord of Five Poisons. Heartless Grandma looked at Elder Ling Shua. Little Ling Shua, you are not my opponent. Gram. Elder Ling Shua was sweating. This person is a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. As an elder, although I am a junior in front of you, I still have to fulfill my responsibility and bring this person back to the sect. Heartless Grandma. At this moment, Jin Zhangkong rushed to Elder Ling Shua's side and was shocked. Another brat. Heartless Grandma laughed hoarsely. What should we do, Brother Jin? How is this Heartless Grandma still alive? Didn't she disappear a few thousand years ago? She has cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Not long after our sect was established, she became famous. She has long reached the stage of ascension. The key is that Heartless Grandma is a famous Rakshasa in the Zhua Tian domain. She is very protective of her own people. If Fang Yu really barged into their dojo, with Heartless Grandma's personality, she will not let us take him away. This person hides a knife in her smile. Not only is she protective of her own people, but she also kills without blinking. The two elders hesitated at this moment. Heartless Grandma is so powerful. Su Fang heard their conversation and glanced at Heartless Grandma. She was an existence that could not be provoked. It seemed like he could not stay here for long. He suddenly shouted to Jin Zhangkong. Elder, save me. I am willing to return to the sect and admit my guilt. Forget it, kill. Jin Zhangkong heard and immediately charged towards Su Fang with Elder Ling Shu. Bang! Who knew? Just as the two of them attacked, Heartless Grandma teleported in front of them and struck out with her palm. A large amount of green lightning was torn apart. The two elders kept retreating. Swish! Just as the three of them were about to attack, Su Fang activated his instant space ring in a timely manner and fled to the back, his speed as fast as a shooting star. What a cunning brat! Just based on your ability to cause a war between the two great powers, if I let you live, you will definitely become a great enemy of my Xuanv Pavilion in the future. Heartless Granny's long hair curled up and she immediately followed the direction of Su Fang. Damned woman, she's so powerful. Chase her. Jin Zhangkong and Elder Ling Shua crushed their teleportation talismans and flew away as well. In the depths of the void. Everything was going backwards at a crazy speed. Su Fang looked behind him and saw that Heartless Granny had caught up. He was shocked. This Heartless Granny's strength is not simple. She might already be as strong as the Lord of Five Poisons. She should have reached the peak of the mortal realm. Even with my instant space ring, I still cannot outrun her. Not only did he see Heartless Granny, but he also saw Jin Chongkong and Elder Ling Sua behind her. The ruins of the spirit sect. In such a short time, he had already flown out of the snowstorm continent. He originally wanted to fly out of the Zhuotian realm, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. He had the natural source and the instant space ring. He would only have an advantage in the Zhuotian realm. If he went to the galaxy, his cultivation level would be his greatest weakness. Heartless Granny and the two elders would have an advantage instead. In front of him, he saw the ruins of the spirit sect that was controlled by the Supreme God sect. Of course, most of the ruins on the ruined continent were actually free ruins. There were many natural dangers there. Su Fang hurriedly flew down. Oh! Heartless Granny's expression was cold. She could see Su Fang's intention. As she formed a seal, she used the teleportation ability that mortals could not master. At this moment, her speed was slightly faster than Su Fang's. The divine image Jade Annulus reminded him in time. Master, be careful. Heartless Granny has already mastered the teleportation ability. After using the teleportation talisman, she is even faster than Master. Teleportation ability? If this continues, won't I lose my speed advantage? That's not it. Master, the teleportation ability cannot be used for a long time. You just have to persevere. After she exhausts her energy, she will naturally not be able to use the teleportation ability again. Exhaustion. Su Fang suddenly felt a chill on his back. Clear Heart Domain. The terror of teleportation divine ability made Su Fang thoroughly experience its prowess. He did not know what method Heartless Granny used, but her speed suddenly doubled. In a breath's time, her palm hit Su Fang's back. Boom! At this moment, in the water region, in the sky above the spirit sect's ruins. This desolate ruined continent used to be the spirit sect's territory. Now, in the hazy sky, a shocking explosion suddenly occurred. This explosion completely lit up the sky above the spirit sect's ruins that were controlled by the Supreme God sect. Boom! In the huge explosion, an uncontrollable figure was swept down the ruined continent by the impact. Coincidentally, it seemed to be a magical door that had just been activated from the forbidden area controlled by the Supreme God sect. It left the sky and happened to pass by the explosion. In the end, it was directly scattered by the explosion. Hundreds of cultivators inside fell down the ruined continent together with the fragments of the magical door. Who dares to invade the territory of the Supreme God sect? Among the hundreds of cultivators, a thunderous voice rang out, shaking the entire ruined continent. Damned Heartless Granny! It's good that she dragged the Supreme God sect into this. Su Fang felt that he had lost the ability to sense his back. Fortunately, he had the divine image Jade Annulus protecting him. However, his flesh embryo divine armor had been completely shattered by Heartless Granny. Even when I was young, I did not chase after an enemy like this. Heartless Granny teleported over, her emotionless gaze filled with cold, killing intent. Come back with me, and you may have a chance to live. Old woman, do you think I'm so easily fooled by you? Su Fang mocked back. Heartless Granny released a terrifying cold chi, freezing the surroundings. The freezing power surrounded Su Fang. Then I can only suppress you by force. Whoosh! The instant space ring's ability was displayed. The attack from Heartless Granny was too terrifying, but Su Fang's speed was also strange. Moreover, he was able to use the freezing power to dodge the attack. He could only dodge. With all his strength, he was not a match for a giant like Heartless Granny. Heartless Granny suddenly disappeared. She had teleported again. Another genius is about to be killed by this old woman. She suddenly appeared behind Su Fang, and a cold chi hit Su Fang. Crack! Su Fang trembled. His body was frozen by the cold, as if he had been sealed. Heartless Granny was truly an antique. She grabbed at the frozen Su Fang. You won't be able to escape this time. Let me tell you, This old woman's nickname is Female Rakshasa. Do you know why everyone called me that back in the day? It's because this old woman has killed at least 10,000 people in her lifetime. How can a child like you escape from this old woman's hands? With your talent, if it's the 10th stage, you still have a chance. Boom! A power that did not belong to Su Fong actually forcibly blew apart the ice shackling him. Su Fong regained his freedom and activated the teleportation talisman, flashing past Heartless Granny. Dao item, you actually have a Dao item. Heartless Granny was very surprised. Whoosh! Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shua broke through the air. Surround those people. Don't let anyone cause trouble in the territory of the Supreme God sect. At the same time, thousands of black-robed experts from the Supreme God sect flew over from the ruins of the Spirit sect. Whoosh! Su Fong immediately flew towards the disciples of the Supreme God sect. His speed was at least faster than Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shua. Heartless Granny chased after him, her speed even faster. She should have fused her teleportation divine ability. Many of the experts of the Supreme God sect saw Su Fong coming and revealed sinister smiles. Catch him. Unfortunately, you Imperishable Realm, Yang Soul Realm, and Calamity Realm disciples don't even have a few Feather Transformation Realm experts. How can you block Heartless Granny? Su Fong's speed was extremely strange. Without waiting for the experts of the Supreme God sect to attack, he had already flown into their midst. Bang! A 5-fingered seal exploded from Heartless Granny's eyes. Divine Rune's Heartless Granny's cultivation was too high. She didn't need to form seals when she used her divine inscriptions. Countless finger seals covered the sky above the countless disciples of the Supreme God sect. With a swipe of his finger, the seal dissipated and shattered into pieces. Thousands of Supreme Deity sect disciples were instantly turned into minced meat. In less than 3 breaths, the thousands of disciples of the Supreme God sect were all turned into a sea of minced meat. Su Fong suddenly flew out of the minced meat with the divine power of a Dao artifact. Granny, you have to work harder. More experts of the Supreme God sect are coming. You brat, you don't know my methods. However, Heartless Granny didn't personally attack this time. It turned out that before Su Fong could react, the countless finger seals in the minced meat above shot out a finger technique. With lightning speed, it hit Su Fong's back. A muffled sound rang out. This huge force came from Heartless Granny's attack. Although it didn't shatter the protective Dao artifact released by the divine image Jade Annulus. However, part of it penetrated the Dao artifact Jade Annulus and hit Su Fong's body. This vibration caused Su Fong's body to shatter instantly. The tearing force spread from head to toe. Heartless Granny. Su Fong struggled numbly. However, his body was shattered and he couldn't use any strength. He looked at Heartless Granny with hatred. Snatch. At this moment, Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling saw the opportunity and attacked Su Fong. Papa. However, Heartless Granny's speed was too shocking. Before the two of them could get close to Su Fong, she waved her hand and made them unable to get close. The two elders also executed their skills and blasted a large number of skills towards Heartless Grandma. Kill these 4 people. A new wave of experts from the Supreme God sect came. Not only were there experts from the Supreme God sect, there were also many cultivators from the ruins of the Spirit sect. They were watching the show from all directions. This time, there were tens of thousands of people from the Supreme God sect. A large number of winged transformation realm experts, led by many elders, rushed over. Supreme God sect. Heartless Granny was entangled by the 2 elders and couldn't catch Su Fong for a while. As for the hundreds of Ascendant Transformation Realm cultivators from the Supreme God sect, they immediately surrounded the 3 of them as they fought. The Supreme God sect prepared to attack, but someone recognized them and said, It's the 2 elders of the Celestial Sealing Gate. What? Countless experts were shocked. How could it be the elders of the Celestial Sealing Gate? The Supreme God sect and the Celestial Sealing Gate had always minded their own business. Why were they fighting here? Moreover, thousands of disciples had been killed by these two. Jin Zhongkong shouted, "Everyone, we're only here to save our disciples. Those thousands of disciples of yours were killed by heartless Granny. We're not your enemies." Zunv Pavilion's female lunatic, whose name once shook the entire Zhuotian world. That's her? When the elders of the Supreme God sect heard the name Heartless Granny, they were so scared that they didn't dare to move forward. Heartless Granny looked at the crowd. Her divine aura immediately proved that she was a peerless expert. "Two sects, it's best if you don't come near my sect's territory. Everyone, retreat." The experts of the Supreme God sect quickly made their decision. Tens of thousands of people quickly retreated. Bang! At this moment, Su Fang's evil chi surged. Blood horns grew out of his shoulders, and he looked at his hands with bloodshot eyes. "I'm not strong enough. I need power, peerless power." Chapter 573. Heavily injured. Facing Heartless Grandma's two attacks, even with the power of the divine image Jade Annulus, he was unable to completely dissolve the huge force. His strength made him feel like he was wearing a suit of armor. This armor that protected his body was the power of the divine image Jade Annulus. Although Heartless Grandma's attack was dissolved by the power of the divine image Jade Annulus, the force still managed to penetrate it. Within the divine aperture, Yu said, "Master, the Black Lotus true body and the power of the Great Circle did not help you recover your energy, but after the blood transformation, the power of the blood transformation made your body explode. As long as I control my consciousness and don't enter a berserk state, I only need the power of the blood transformation." Blood horns grew out of Su Fang's shoulders. He looked up and said, "If I don't use my full strength, I will be killed by this evil woman. Everyone, back off." The Supreme God sect was intimidated by Heartless Grandma, and tens of thousands of people left the sky. Only 4 people were left. Although the Supreme God sect was strong and had a strong foundation, and their business was doing very well these years, they were still considered evil sects in the Zhuotian domain. They did not dare to go against the righteous sects openly. Heartless Grandma's white hair floated slightly. Jin Zhongkong, Elder Ling saw, "Don't provoke this old woman. You know her character. When I want to kill someone, no one can save me." Elder Ling Saw's attitude was very firm. "Fang Yu is a disciple of the Celestial Bestowment sect. If we hand him over to the Zunv Pavilion in front of all the cultivators in the world, how will our sect establish itself in the Zhuotian domain in the future? All right, if you want to die, this old woman will not show mercy." Bang! Finish speaking. Heartless Grandma, who was still 1,000 meters away from Su Fang, suddenly disappeared. Teleportation. True teleportation is beyond teleportation talismans. Teleportation talismans were created by such big shots. Immortals! Immortals! The surrounding cultivators were once again intimidated by Heartless Grandma's speed. Su Fang was the first to react. He activated his instant space ring and jumped out from his original position. He grabbed at the air where he was previously and burned with green flames. Green murderous giant palm. Hua! This speed was not any slower than Heartless Grandma. When the Celestial Sealing Sect's green murderous true fire hit the air, Heartless Grandma shattered it. Heartless Granny was not afraid of the green fiery primordial fire. She used her powers to suppress the terrifying primordial fire. Another flash of thunder. He stared at Su Fang from the sky, his gaze distant. "Brat, you're only at the first level of the catastrophe stage. How did you manage to control the Celestial Sealing School's green fiend True Flame so skillfully?" Swish swish. The third person appeared midway. Jin Chongkong. He punched out, probably using the Jade Sky Cold Mystery technique. The momentum of his fist turned into ice and blocked Heartless Granny from attacking Su Fang. Ka, Heartless Granny left behind an afterimage as she passed through the frozen space. Jin Zhangkong's power behind her was also shattered. Su Fang hurriedly activated his instant space ring and flew towards the Supreme God Sect. However, Heartless Grandma did not give him the chance. She seemed to know what Su Fang was thinking. He wanted to kill his way into the Supreme God Sect and drag this evil sect into it. Papa Pathground was not a place where one could go as they wished. Su Fang was like a jumping fish as he flashed around in the sky, avoiding Heartless Granny's pursuit. Heartless Granny was even faster. She seemed to be determined to capture Su Fang. She came to the front and intercepted Su Fang. Elder Ling Shu rushed over to help. Fang Yu, the Great Elder, just passed down a decree. If you join forces with us to deal with Heartless Granny, you will still be a Supremacy's disciple when you return to the sect. Brat, do you think he's a fool? Before Su Fang could reply, Heartless Granny, who was charging over, gave him a reply. She turned into snowflake-like sword chi in the surroundings. The cold air was dense. She first attacked Elder Ling Shua before taking the opportunity to sweep towards Su Fang. These snowflake-like sword chi did not destroy anything in its path. Instead, it froze everything in its path. If an ordinary wing transformation realm cultivator came into contact with these snowflake-like sword chi, they would not be hacked to death but frozen to death. Boom! Jin Zhangkong rushed over. When Elder Ling Shua was forced back by the snowflake sword chi and Su Fang was trapped in the cold air, he blasted out streaks of heavenly dragon divine claws with killing intent towards Heartless Grandma. Your cultivation isn't high, and you want to kill me? I've lived for over 10,000 years. When I met the experts of the Immortal Sealing Sect, you didn't even exist. Snow Domain was frozen. Under the attacks of the two elders, Heartless Granny was also restricted. She wanted to capture Su Fang too much. If she was late, the Immortal Sealing Sect might send more experts over. At that time, no matter how strong she was, she could defeat the entire Immortal Sealing Sect. This old woman, heaven-worshipping palm art. The surrounding 10 miles of sky was swept by the cold air. Su Fang could see Heartless Granny's dominating aura. If he didn't react and escape, he would be in danger. Pow pow pow. He was protected by the giant. The giant opened its palms and attacked with the heaven-worshipping palm art under its blood transformation state. The cold air around them was shattered. Jin Zhangkong and Elder Ling Shua also pushed their strength to the peak. They even used their king-grade magic treasures. Their magic treasures were like the heaven-defying golden light sword, or even more powerful. They were almost as tall as the Rakshasa jade vase. Pow pow pow. The cold air began to shackle the surrounding 10 miles of sky. Rumbling sounds could be heard from 3 directions. The surrounding 10 miles was filled with destructive energy. Whether it was the tens of thousands of disciples of the Supreme God Sect or the cultivators watching, they all fled. I don't need any magic treasures to seal you two brats. Heartless Granny's domain of cold air hadn't even fully formed when the two elders used their magic treasures to destroy it. She formed another hand seal. This time, cold air erupted from Heartless Granny's body like a river of stars. This cold air swept out 10 miles of sky, reaching 100 miles in an instant. Several hundred disciples of the Supreme God Sect nearby didn't even have time to react before they turned into frozen corpses. Heartless Granny was actually controlling the entire sky. It was unbelievable that her godly image and power could reach such a large area. Su Fang felt that the cold air had increased tenfold. He was suppressed to the point that he couldn't breathe. Heartless Granny is too strong. If she had used her true strength before, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to escape from the Xuanf Pavilion. He looked at the other side. The two elders were also in a bad state. Fortunately, they were elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect and had king-grade magic treasures. They weren't completely suppressed and could still break the surrounding cold air. Ice spiritual puppets. 2 figures flew out from Heartless Granny's palms. They were 2 Ascension Realm cultivators. The only difference was that they seemed to be made of wood. Although they were breathing, their movements weren't normal at all. Slaves. Even her slaves are so powerful. Su Fang hurriedly used the Jade Sky Cold Mysterious technique and absorbed the 9 Qi to kill his way to the edge of the cold air. Pa. The 2 slave puppets had the same cultivation as Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shuo. They also took out their magic treasures and activated the cold air to kill the 2 elders. Kid, don't expect the Celestial Sealing Sect to save you. Look at Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shuo. They can only wait for death. Heartless Granny appeared strangely in the direction Su Fang was escaping. She had a cold smile on her face and a magic staff appeared in her hand. It was a magic staff carved out of ice and inlaid with many gems. It was also a surpassing Rakshasa jade vase, a peerless magic treasure that was close to the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. With such a magic treasure and Heartless Granny's peerless cultivation, other than immortals, who else could be her opponent? Boom! Su Fang pushed his strength to the extreme. He punched the cold air that was pressing towards him. Step by step, he broke through the cold air and moved forward with difficulty. But with this speed and strength, when could he leave the sky controlled by Heartless Granny? What a fool's dream. Still not giving up? Granny hasn't even made a move yet. If you surrender now, Granny can promise you that you can keep your life in Zuanv Pavilion. You can survive. What if I continue to resist? Little brat, if you really want to die, then that old woman will capture you alive and bring you back to Xian New Pavilion. She will use an illusion technique to strip away all your memories. After that, there are many ways for you to die. She will cripple your cultivation and slowly wait for death. Or she will torture you every day, or she will slice you into pieces. That old woman has killed too many people, so she doesn't mind killing a mortal cultivator like you. At her level, she is already heartless, and her life is like a straw dog. You are a crazy woman who eats people without spitting out their bones. I will not bow down to you even if I die. That's right. Granny is a woman who eats people without spitting out their bones. She will use an illusion to control your consciousness and steal your memory. Your secrets, cultivation methods, and magic treasures will all become part of Zuanv Pavilion. Dream on. After hearing this, Su Fang's heart sank. What was the use of being afraid? The only thing he could do was resist, struggle, and kill his way out of the hands of a big shot. With a thought, the aura of a Dao item surged out. Master, Yuer has already fused with Master's body. Master, don't use the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. That's because Heartless Granny's overall strength is enough to contend with the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. Charge! The Dao item's divine might increased Su Fang's strength to the winged transformation realm. At the same time, he used the Flaming Cloud Steps and the Flaming Cloud Wings. Chi Chi Pung Pung. When the Flaming Cloud Wings flapped, the cold chi was torn apart. When the Flaming Cloud Steps were used, one step was enough to destroy the cold chi. In addition to the Dao item's divine might, the range and speed of Su Fang's cold chi were becoming more and more shocking. Who is that young man? He's so powerful. The 2 elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect are shackled by Heartless Granny, but he can still escape. I think I heard the elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect mention that he's called Fang Yu. Fang Yu? Isn't he the genius who escaped from the Celestial Jia Gate and became the 4th venerated Dao disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect? Why is the venerated Dao disciple turning against the Celestial Sealing Sect? The Celestial Sealing Sect seems to have become enemies with the Zuanv Pavilion. They're no longer allies. Who cares? This isn't the Celestial Sealing Sect, nor is it the Zuanv Pavilion. They can't do anything about us. But that Fang Yu is really powerful. He's only at the first catastrophe realm, but he can fight against the legendary Heartless Granny, who's even stronger than the Grand Elder. Whether it was the disciples of the Supreme God sect or the cultivators outside, they were all paying attention to the battle between the four. The most dazzling of them all was naturally Su Fong. Within the cold chi domain, Heartless Granny watched Su Fong's cold chi shatter the space. Dao item? You've actually fused with a Dao item to such an extent. Su Fong sneered. Otherwise, how do you think I'm fighting with an old antique like you? Do you really think I'm a weakling who can't be killed by you? Heartless Granny, listen carefully. In the future, I'll personally destroy the Xuanv Pavilion. You actually dared to use me to obtain the Celestial Jia Gate, and you even used the woman I care about the most. Heartless Granny slowly moved. Isn't it just a woman? I can kill a bunch of disciples like her. Since you care, then listen carefully. Not only will you not be able to destroy the Xuanv Pavilion, you won't be able to leave alive today. Furthermore, when I return to the Xuanv Pavilion, I'll take the head of that female disciple you're talking about. Since ancient times, beauties are the source of trouble. Chapter 574. Since ancient times, beautiful women have caused trouble. Su Fongdao was furious. You're talking about the woman I love the most. Then you won't be able to attain the Tao. Heartless Grandma's wrinkles stood up. What does it have to do with you, crazy woman? If I can't attain the Tao, there will be a day when I will destroy you and Xuanv Pavilion. Today I will kill you first. Crack. Heartless Granny's killing intent exploded as well. She controlled the cold chi domain and instantly sealed the cold chi that Su Fong had spent so much effort to break. Pa. With the divine image Jade Wall's aura and Su Fong's strength, the surrounding cold domain had already started to freeze, turning into an absolute frozen world. So what? It could not block Su Fong's fist. With a punch and a kick, the frozen space started to shatter, but the shattering area was less than 10 feet. Whoosh! Heartless Grandma came in front of Su Fong and instantly formed a seal. Domain freeze. Chi. The frozen space around Su Fong formed a large number of ice chains. The chains absorbed the essence of the cold domain and looked like fried dough twists in the domain. Edgeless heavy sword. Looking at the ice chains coming from all directions, and at this moment, an unparalleled cold domain shackled him, making it hard for him to breathe. The edgeless sword appeared and slashed at the chains. The chains came from Heartless Grandma, so how could they not be broken by the edgeless sword? Heartless Grandma's seal seemed to be stuck. Because of the shackles, she could not completely suppress Su Fong. With her strength, Su Fong should have already been frozen. Even if he was not frozen, his body should have been trapped in the cold domain, and he could not move. However, he could still use his divine abilities and magic treasures. Heartless Grandma's aura became even colder. Good lad, under the shackles of the divine image space, not only can you use your divine abilities, but you also have such a powerful magic treasure. A magic treasure with the aura of the world. Your luck is too strong. It seems like you have taken all the benefits in the world. Today, everything you have belongs to my Xuanv Pavilion. Let's see how long a first-layer catastrophe cultivator like you can last. Even if you have a Dao item, you have to use your true chi to activate it. To be honest, I'm not sure if I can handle a Dao item. Kid, you have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. I won't easily get close to you. Heartless Granny revealed an amiable smile. For someone like her, she would either not smile, or if she did, she would definitely be ruthless. Su Fong had already cursed Heartless Granny 1,000 times in his heart. In fact, what she said was very true. At this moment, apart from the 6 Yang Meridians, the Dharma Spirit, the Dragon-Taming Wood, and the Golden Core of Origin, all the true chi in his meridians had been exhausted. Now, he had no choice but to use the true chi of the 6 Yang Meridians. Path edgeless sword shattered one ice chain after another. The power of the Tao artifact was also protecting it from the shackles of the cold qi. If it wasn't for the divine image jade annulus, Su Fang would have consumed even more energy. Even if he used the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda, he could still contend against Heartless Granny. However, Heartless Granny's Dharma treasure and strength were comparable to the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda. If she used the power of her Dharma treasure, Su Fang wouldn't be able to do anything to her, and she wouldn't be able to shackle him. However, the consumption would be 100 times more severe than using the Tao artifact. At the very least, the power of the Tao artifact was something that Heartless Granny was wary of. Su Fang was trapped in the domain of cold qi. He kept shattering the ice chains, but in reality, he was trapped in the shackles of Heartless Granny. Jin Chongkong and Elder Ling Shua couldn't break free from the entanglement of the two slaves. In addition to the shackles of the cold qi, the two of them couldn't kill Heartless Granny in a short time. It seemed that soon, when Su Fang's energy was almost depleted, Heartless Granny would definitely deal a fatal blow to Su Fang. He couldn't continue like this. After persevering for a while, Su Fang saw the situation clearly. He immediately released more energy to activate the divine image jade annulus, preparing to break through the domain of cold qi. That evil granny is a righteous expert. I'll use the blood hell wolf smoke. It just so happens that I've recently fused with this evil force. I don't believe that I'm not afraid of the poison. Could it be that she isn't? The only way was to meet force with force and confront each other head-on. There was no room for any schemes or methods. If one was trapped under absolute power, only power could break through the shackles. The divine image jade annulus's aura increased by a bit. Heartless Granny sensed it and smiled even more amiably. She seemed to know that Su Fang was going to go all out. Whoosh, whoosh. She stepped out with the fire cloud steps again, shattering the ice that was 10 feet tall. She struck out with both hands. It was actually blood red and black blood hellwolf smoke. The burning poisonous flames were terrifying, and the poison was even more terrifying. Creak. The effect was immediate. The blood hellwolf smoke's greatest power was the blood poison. However, the flames also contained a terrifying power. Together with the blood poison, after the explosion, the surrounding ice was devoured by the poison. Brat, you can even control such an evil force. You dare to cultivate? No wonder you ended up as a demonic maniac. This granny will not give you any chance. Who would have thought that the ice layer would be devoured by the blood hell wolf smoke? Heartless Granny also seemed to be wary of the poison. She seemed to have realized that if this continued, the blood hell wolf smoke would burn a huge hole in the ice domain. She immediately formed a seal. Boom, boom. At this moment, an even more powerful ice shackling force pressed down on Su Fang and the burning blood hell wolf smoke. After an intense pressure, the blood hell wolf smoke was actually unable to devour the ice layer. Furthermore, Su Fang also felt that his body was unable to move freely. Seal! Something even more terrifying happened. A large number of ice chains sealed within the ice layer penetrated through. Su Fang immediately activated the divine image jade annulus. This evil granny is really powerful. Don't let the seal solidify. Buzz, buzz. The divine power of a Tao artifact spread out around Su Fang. As expected of a Tao artifact, it actually shattered the ice chains sealing around his body. A Tao artifact's protection was just that awesome. Boom. Su Fang, whose movements had been restricted, let out a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a huge block of ice struck him from behind, coming from the divine image jade annulus. With this jolt, Su Fang felt that his body was about to be forcefully separated from the divine image jade annulus. Su Fang spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Heartless Granny in front of him. At this moment, her forehead was covered in sweat as she formed another seal. Heartless Granny sighed deeply. How many years has it been? I thought that before I passed away, I would no longer be able to use my full strength. But today, I met you, a first-layer catastrophe cultivator, and you forced me to use my full strength. But you don't need to be so proud. If you didn't have a Tao artifact, you would have died at my hands long ago. Yuer Su Fang was instantly heavily injured. He immediately communicated with his primordial spirit. Master, you can't use more of Yuer's power. With Yuer's current power, he can only protect Master. The opponent is too strong. If this continues, Yuer will only be able to dissolve a portion of Master's power, Yuer said helplessly. All right, then do your best to resist the outside world's power. I'll use the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda to protect my body. Even with a Tao artifact, he still ended up in such a state. Su Fang couldn't understand. Anger began to burn in his heart. He also activated the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, releasing his innate power. Bang! Behind him, another huge block of ice that came from Heartless Granny's true power struck the divine image Jade Annulus. Heartless Granny wasn't fighting with Su Fang at all. She was clearly fighting with a Tao artifact. She had used all of her power to forcibly shatter the Tao artifact's power, or at least shake Su Fang's body until it couldn't bear the weight of the Tao artifact and force it out of his body. As long as Su Fang didn't have a Tao artifact, an old antique like her could easily suppress Su Fang 10,000 times over. Tao artifact Heartless Granny was about to die. She had one foot in the coffin, and she was so angry that she didn't know when this would end. She refused to believe that a Tribulation Realm cultivator like him could control a Tao artifact to such a degree when even a wing transformation expert couldn't control it. Boom! Another piece of ice struck the power of the divine image Jade Annulus. About half of its power entered Su Fang's body. His blood transformation body was torn apart once more. And this was even with the protection of the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Even with two magical treasures protecting him, he was still heavily injured. I thought that with the divine image Jade Annulus, I would be able to move unhindered in the mortal world. I thought that with world energy I would be able to move unhindered. I didn't think I would still be a weakling through and through. She immediately activated the Zhuotian realm's core. Adding on the 9 yin qi, she transformed it into a supreme ice defense. Brat, you're infuriating me. Is he still a junior? Heartless Granny sensed that Su Fang's defense had been strengthened once more. It actually made an old antique like her feel powerless. All junior commanders, listen up. Give me all your strength. Yes, master. At this time, the true qi in his 6 yang meridians had been almost completely exhausted. Su Fang ordered the 93 junior commanders and the senior commander, the Vermilion Emperor, to pour all their strength into his body. Soon, Su Fang had merged with nearly 100 big goblins' strength. Chi. His strength was too terrifying. Adding on the support of world energy, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, the divine image Jade Annulus, and so on, Su Fang's strength had reached an unprecedented height. It was unknown whether it was the demonic qi that affected Su Fang. His body burned with an evil energy. The bloody horns on his shoulders grew even more, burning with an evil aura. His eyes, in particular, were already empty. Xuanv Pavilion deserves to die. You deserve to die too. If not for Xuanv Pavilion, Mei Er would not have left me and betrayed me. Xuanv Pavilion deserves to die. Every disciple deserves to die. Heartless Granny, I, Su Fang, will suppress you and make you my servant forever. I will capture every disciple of Xuanv Pavilion and make them submit to me. In the gloomy sky above the ruins of the spirit sect, Su Fang waved his arms and roared angrily. His roar shook every corner of the continent. Heartless Granny was shocked. Berserk state, no. It means that Berserk will burn one's potential. After entering the Berserk state, one's strength will increase countless times. But it can't be like him, increasing his strength by 10 times. Boom, boom, boom. Grabbing the edgeless sword, an evil sword chi with the divine might of the divine image jade annulus shot out. With just one sword strike, Su Fang's burning evil power was able to split open the cold chi space in front of him for dozens of kilometers. Bang! It was too terrifying, peerless, and heaven-defying. As it slashed apart nearly half of the cold air, heartless Granny spat out a mouthful of blood. Unfilial son, take my mystical ability. Heartless Granny suddenly appeared. After forming a seal, a huge piece of ice above Su Fang turned into an icicle and fell towards Su Fang. Swish! He slashed at the icicle. Chi! The evil sword chi of the edgeless sword sliced apart a few dozen feet of ice, but it did not destroy the icicle. Su Fang slashed a few more times, but he was still unable to completely destroy the icicle. It was also at this moment that the icicle hit the defensive layer of the divine might of the Tao artifact above his head. This jolt almost caused the divine might of the Tao artifact to disappear. Su Fang's edgeless sword left his hand. His entire body trembled and swayed without a trace of spirit. Die! After receiving Heartless Granny's all-out attack, Su Fang was already under the control of Berserk. He was in a state of delirium. If he was still conscious, he would have been able to react. It was as if he had entered the depths of his consciousness again. Chapter 575. Boom! After the icicle hit Su Fang, not only did it destroy the divine image jade annulus defensive divine might, but it also destroyed his body, which was in the state of divine image jade annulus. He felt as if his divine image magic treasure was about to be torn apart from his body. However, that was all. If that terrifying icicle attacked the supreme god sect from here, it could destroy most of the land. The icicle also shattered, and the fragments drowned Su Fang. Perhaps he would be suppressed by heartless grandma like this. Damn crazy woman! Our hidden disciples in the Supreme God sect should have communicated with the sect's higher-ups and sent reinforcements. Why are they not here yet? Fang Yu has fallen into her hands. Xianjia Gate has nothing to do with our celestial sealing sect. The entire 100 li of cold qi shackled the air. On the other side, Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shua were suppressed by the cold qi shackling the ice layer. They were unable to break through the ice layer and attack Su Fang. Furthermore, there were two equally powerful slaves attacking the two. They could only watch as Su Fang fell into Heartless Grandma's hands. Do you think I can't take down a catastrophe realm disciple with my full strength? I have cultivated for more than 10,000 years. Although I can't ascend and can only pass away, I can still exchange a few moves with an immortal. A mere celestial sealing sect. Other than that mysterious young leader, who else can be my match? Xiao Yun, Taoist Wuzhen, exalted Yuezhen. Heartless Grandma flew towards the ice layer that shattered like a jar. A large number of ice chains shot out from her palm, wanting to seal Su Fang and take him away. Whoosh! The ice layer in front of her suddenly flashed with cold qi. Heartless Grandma thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the indestructible edgeless sword passed through the cold qi. The sword carried an evil power and was so fast that Heartless Grandma could only defend herself. Bang! The heavy edgeless sword slashed above Heartless Grandma's defense. Many of her white bones were broken. While she was still in shock, Su Fang, who had entered a berserk state, swept out with edgeless sword and blasted Heartless Grandma out of the cold qi space. She blasted a huge hole in the cold qi layer that she passed through. Stop me! Die! Kill me! Die! Laughing at me! Die! Su Fang, who had lost most of his consciousness and was almost controlled by the evil power, had a pair of eyes that were burning with an extremely evil blood-red flame. He activated the instant space ring and burned it. Along with the broken layer of ice that Heartless Grandma had shaken out, he actually chased after her with the edgeless sword. When Fang Yu entered a berserk state, his strength actually reached such a level. Both you and I, that's not his true power. It's a combination of a Tao item, a consummate magical item, and an evil technique. Add that to the fact that he's in berserk mode, and he's even stronger than before, and he'll be drained of all of his true energy and life force. Eventually, Pai Kuang will drain him of all of his energy, and he'll become a corpse. Fine, it's good that we can injure Heartless Granny. Let's take advantage of the weakening of the cold chi and kill our way out. One of us will hold back the two servants, while the other will deal with Heartless Granny. 100 miles of cold air froze the space, and the shackling power was greatly weakened. After Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shua sighed, their gazes became stern. They urged their magic treasures to charge out of the cold air space. I didn't expect that this brat would be able to kill me to this extent. Pai Kuang is even more terrifying than the legends say. If we can't fight him head-on when he's at his strongest, we'll exhaust our strength. When the experts of the Immortal Sealing Sect come, it'll be hard for me to capture this brat. Let Pai Kuang devour his mind and endlessly burn his true energy and life force. After a while, it'll be much easier to suppress him. Heartless Granny, who had shaken out 100 miles of cold airspace, was facing Su Fang. Her gaze darkened and cold air exploded. She used her teleportation divine ability, nimbly dodging the evil sword chi of Su Fang's heavy sword. Oh no, the sword chi is falling towards us. Heartless Granny dodged the sword. However, the evil sword chi of Su Fang's heavy sword continued to slash towards the sky below. Below them were thousands of disciples of the Supreme God Sect. They didn't expect that the evil sword chi would slash down like this. A portion of the Ascendant Transformation Realm disciples led the Catastrophe Realm disciples to use their magic treasures to block it, while the majority of the Yang Soul Realm and Imperishable Realm disciples fled for their lives. Chi, the sword chi, hit the defensive layer of the thousands of disciples of the Supreme God Sect. The sword chi left behind dazzling sparks, and instantly cut through the defensive layer. More than 1,000 experts were turned into a bloody mist. As for the thousands of disciples who fled, most of them who were slow were turned into meat paste by the remaining power. Moreover, the remaining power of the sword chi also landed on the ruins of the spirit sect, causing the land to tremble. Just as Su Fang lost his mind and let Pai Kuang devour life force, burn his true energy, and absorb the power of his magic treasures, deep in the space of Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda, the Vermilion Emperor sat cross-legged in front of the 93 junior commanders, releasing the demonic chi in his body. The most terrifying part was his demonic chi as an ancient mutated beast. This emperor is high above, a descendant of the God clan. Su Fang is suppressed by a human like you. This emperor's evil power isn't something a human like you can easily purify. If you absorb this king's power, you will fall into the demonic path, lose your mind, and enter insanity. This time, I'll let you absorb the small commander's power. The more resentment you absorb, the more likely it is that I'll be able to control your consciousness in the shortest amount of time possible. I'll make you break free from the shackles of my fused consciousness. That way, I'll be able to regain my freedom and take over your physical body. With the demon god's fury in hand, that dog's hit granny outside won't be able to withstand my 3 lashes. The Vermilion Emperor sneered malevolently, his resentment boiling. However, his expression wasn't seen by the junior commanders behind him, by Ling and Gu Shizhen. Kill! 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 Shackles of cold chi and ice. Su Fang, whose mind was corroded by resentment, turned around and waved his heavy sword. Heartless Granny looked at the previous sword with an ugly expression. She knew that Su Fang's sword strength had reached a shocking level. Chi! Another sword swept over. Heartless Granny teleported and brushed past the sword chi. The sword chi struck the ground below. After 3 breaths, the ground rumbled. Whoosh! Su Fang, whose mind had been devoured by Pai Kuang, chased after Heartless Granny. It seemed that even though his mind had been devoured, he was determined to kill Heartless Granny. Heartless Granny dodged another sword. She saw Su Fang's head gradually turning white. Moreover, his evil aura had an astonishing vitality. She sneered coldly and immediately flew towards the 100 li of cold chi space that was still floating in the air. Su Fang chased after her, and the shackles of the cold chi space suddenly increased to the previous level. Su Fang's sword strength couldn't completely split the cold chi apart. This attack should be able to finish you off, right? Heartless Granny, whose whereabouts were unknown, appeared in Su Fang's mountain house while Su Fang was searching for her. Another huge icicle fell towards Su Fang. This time, Su Fang didn't appear. Boom! It seemed that the divine power of the Tao item was protecting Su Fang, helping him dodge. However, the icicle still struck his aura. The destructive power completely shattered the layer of ice that Su Fang was in. He fell from the broken layer of ice and quickly reached the air before falling back to the ground. That Fang Yu is really strong. The immortal Sealing Gate's disciple is too monstrous. Then wouldn't the other 3 be even stronger? Who knows? So what if he's strong? He's still a bit weaker than that old fart Heartless Granny. It's a pity that if Fang Yu's cultivation improved a bit more, perhaps even Heartless Granny wouldn't be able to suppress him today. There were at least 100,000 cultivators 100 li away. It was unknown how many experts there were. All kinds of cultivators had gathered together, and the experts among them were deeply imprinting the entire battle in their minds. You made me lose most of my core. Damn it. Heartless Granny flew out of the ice layer. She had been completely confident in grabbing Su Fang, but when she suddenly looked in front of her, she immediately used a teleportation Grand Divine ability to grab Su Fang. Grand Elder Xiao Yun is here. Jin Zhongkong was panting within the cold chi, but he actually laughed. Heartless Granny. As the ice fell to the ground, Heartless Granny suddenly appeared. Just as Heartless Granny was about to grab Su Fang, a figure in front of her also used a teleportation Grand Divine ability. The two of them were above Su Fang and their palms met. Boom! The two of them were sent flying at the same time. It was the immortal Sealing Gate's Grand Elder, Xiao Yun. Heartless Granny looked coldly at the falling Su Fang. She glanced at Xiao Yun. It's been several thousand years. Little brat Xiao Yun, you've almost caught up to me. Xiao Yun replied courteously. I still remember how you killed countless demons back then. Please hand Fang Yu over to my immortal Sealing Gate. I don't want to offend you. Offend you? I'm afraid that our two sects have already shed all pretense of cordiality. I won't let you take him away. Then I won't be courteous. You've used up a lot of your core. I didn't expect a disciple of my sect to embarrass you like this. You make it sound so simple. In my opinion, your immortal Sealing Gate doesn't understand this brat called Fang Yu. He's strong enough to kill you. Junior won't be courteous. I'm not so weak as to be courteous to you. Chi. The two peerless old antiques once again grabbed at Su Fang, who was falling rapidly from the wind. Interesting. But, beside the two of them, a black-robed man appeared in the state of space and speed, almost parallel to the two of them. The appearance of this black-clothed man made Heartless Granny and Xiao Yun, the two famous giants of the Zhuotian world, break out in cold sweat. The black-clothed man glanced at the two of them, but didn't make a move. His gaze then landed on Su Fang. It's this brat. I finally found you. Sir. Xiao Yun saw that the black-clothed man was also looking at Su Fang. He was certain that he had come for Su Fang. He couldn't help but lower himself. I'm the immortal Sealing Gate's Grand Elder Xiao Yun. Please step back. This is my immortal Sealing Gate's disciple. When was the immortal Sealing Gate established? The black-clothed man's expression didn't change at all. Instead, he looked at Heartless Granny. This old witch is an expert from the Zuanv Pavilion. I have some impression of the Zuanv Pavilion. I remember that in my era, the Zuanv Pavilion was considered a major power. I remember that it was in the snow-wind continent. If you don't know what's good for you, then I'll have to take action. Xiao Yun was furious. The strange thing was that heartless Granny actually slowed down. It seemed like she didn't want to chase after Feng Yu. You're courting death. How dare you ignore my immortal sealing gate? Great Elder Xiao Yun pushed out a vast yellow palm print toward the black-clothed man. Boom! The black-clothed man didn't dodge, nor did he make a move. He allowed Xiao Yun's palm to hit him. The yellow palm exploded, but it didn't injure the black-clothed man. It was unknown if the black-clothed man made a move. With a whistling sound, Grand Elder Xiao Yun was sent flying. In the blink of an eye, the black-clothed man raised Su Feng in front of him. Author's words. The 3 days of the Dragon Boat Festival ended just like that. The weather was too hot, so if I stayed at home for 3 days, it would be too hot at the end of the month. Chapter 576. The black-clothed man lifted the weightless Su Feng like a little chick. Su Feng was still in a berserk state, being burned by the evil flame. No wonder that old woman left. She met a tough opponent. A few kilometers away, Grand Elder Xiao Yun was heavily injured. It was as if he had only been lightly hit by the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man looked at heartless Grandma. What do you mean your celestial sealing sect and Zuanv Pavilion is mine? Where did you come from? Heartless Grandma asked. The black-clothed man was about to say something when he suddenly looked to the left and right. He saw hundreds of experts from the Celestial Sealing Sect and Zuanv Pavilion using teleportation talismans. Who am I? Are you looking for me for revenge? Haha, your cultivation is not bad, but you have Zuanv Pavilion behind you. Don't think you can do anything to me. In this Zhuotian world, there is only one person who can stop me. So, after he finished speaking, the black-clothed man took Su Feng and vanished into thin air under the gazes of everyone present. Damn it, that's my Celestial Sealing Sect's disciple. Jin Chongkong and Elder Ling Shua chased. They suddenly realized that they couldn't even catch the black-clothed man's aura. How could they chase? Even if the Celestial Sealing Sect and Zuanv Pavilion sent reinforcements, they could only look up at the sky. However, the experts of the two sects immediately faced each other in the sky. Forbidden Snow Forest. This place is one of the natural barriers of the Zhuotian world. It has a complicated galaxy and world energy. It will allow me to avoid the powerful Zhuotian world lord. In an instant, the mysterious black-clothed man arrived at the natural barrier of the snow-wind continent. Forbidden Snow Forest. Su Feng entered a certain valley in the forest that was filled with snowflakes and all kinds of cold air. The black-clothed man set up a barrier before sucking Su Feng out of the profound light. Berserk. The black-clothed man sized him up. Tao Artifact Primordial Spirit, I have no intention of harming your master. You should think of a way to wake him up from his berserk state. I still have to hide my aura and not let Zhuotian World Lord sense me. He could see Su Feng's condition at a glance, as well as the divine power of the divine image jade annulus that permeated his body. Letting Su Feng float on the snowy ground, he went to the side and injected more mysterious seals into the barrier. Master! Inside the divine aperture, Su Feng's young infant was already dispirited, and the aura in his armor and divine aperture were all evil and resentful. His young infant had also turned gray. The original spirits of the divine image jade annulus and the Rakshasa jade had been urging their mana to summon the consciousness of Su Feng, but until now there was no result. In the depths of his consciousness, a large amount of evil aura formed the Vermilion Sovereign's evil true body. Its eyes flickered with blood-red resentment, like flames burning in the core of the earth, and it spat out a large amount of evil air from its mouth, sweeping towards the illusory figures of Su Fang's consciousness. A large amount of Su Fang's consciousness was devoured by the Vermilion Emperor's evil aura. Vermilion Emperor, you're actually devouring Master's consciousness. What are you trying to do? When you used the Six Paths Pagoda to fuse with Master's life, you actually secretly controlled our power, and used the evil power to control Master's consciousness. In the depths of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda's space. Suddenly, the Heavenly Snow Flying Raccoon, Heavenly Domain Snow Lion, Water Snake Big Goblin, Heavenly King Guy, Leech King, and the other junior commanders surrounded the Vermilion Emperor angrily. On the other side, Gu Shizhen and Bai Ling were sealed by its evil power, unable to move. The Vermilion Emperor's evil gaze swept across the junior commanders. All of you are big goblin, extraordinary existences among the monster race. Are you really willing to serve a human for the rest of your lives? We, the monster race, are the only kings of life in nature, and we will never compromise with a puny human. Now, this emperor has the chance to devour his consciousness, and then release all of you from your shackles, allowing you to regain your freedom. This emperor will only ask you one thing: do you want to leave this place, or do you want to be ridden by a human for the rest of your lives? Of course we want to leave. Who is willing to serve a human? Some of the big goblin at the back immediately agreed. However, the powerful big goblin at the front, such as the fire-tongued goblin, did not express anything. They were hesitating. The Vermilion Emperor looked at these powerful junior commanders. What, Master? Just because I gave you some benefits, you are all eager to serve a human. Don't forget that you are big goblin. If you are willing to leave, follow me. If you are not willing to leave, then stay here and wait for death. Anyway, this emperor has already used everyone's power to control Su Fang's consciousness. Whoever stays here can only follow Su Fang to hell in the end. Leave? Of course we have to leave. Who is willing to stay here and wait for death? When a human enters a berserk state, he will eventually exhaust every drop of energy and die. Once he dies, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda will also become an ownerless item. By then, other humans will obtain it, and we can only continue to be slaves. Vermilion Emperor, you are an ancient divine beast, we will leave with you. If they are waiting for death, then let them wait. Most of the big goblin actually agreed. The Vermilion Emperor suddenly glanced at Gu Shizhen and Bai Ling. He waved his arm disdainfully and ordered the junior commanders to release more demonic aura for him to use. In the depths of the divine aperture's consciousness, Su Fangda's consciousness was left with less than 1%. It was being continuously devoured by the Vermilion Emperor's evil aura on a large scale. In the current situation, Su Fang was the source of everything. If something happened to him, everything in his body, including the magic treasures, would go on strike and lose the support of the source. Everything would be out of control. This brat does not have the heavenly neck spirit ring on him. Soon, the black-clothed man returned to Su Fang. After thinking for a while, he was attracted by the pair of bloody horns. Forget about the berserk state, there is also the blood transformation. This brat must have cultivated a lot of evil techniques to end up like this. If his consciousness cannot be restored, then he will slowly be devoured by the berserk state and die. You and I are fated. Moreover, I came here to find the heavenly neck spirit ring. The magic treasure's aura was released from your body, so it must be inside your body. I am very curious. If you are not controlled by the heavenly neck spirit ring, then who is the unlucky one? The black-clothed man activated the supreme Xian Guang. With a shocking amount of magic power, it immediately shot into Su Fang's glabella. The consciousness of the black-clothed man's giant young infant directly entered Su Fang's divine aperture. Waiting for him were the original spirits of the divine jade annulus and the Rakshasa jade vase. The divine jade annulus said to the black-clothed man in a dignified voice, You are just a mortal cultivator who has not stepped into the great world. No matter how strong you are in the mortal world, you will not be able to break through me. I think you have misunderstood me. If I want to harm this brat, I will take out my magic treasure. In less than 10 moves, even with the protection of your Tao artifact, his body will be crushed into meat paste. The black-clothed man explained, I am here to see if I can wake him up from his berserk state. If this continues, he will only be waiting for death. Then try it. Don't play any tricks. This original spirit of yours is quite loyal. You should know that once this brat dies, it will no longer have any relationship with you. You will be able to regain your freedom. Our magic treasures are created by humans to assist humans in their cultivation. Perhaps we will meet many masters, and perhaps we can only serve one master for the rest of our lives. However, to be able to meet a worthy master is not something every magic treasure can meet. I understand. With your Tao artifact protecting him, I will indeed not be able to harm his divine aperture and young infant. Seeing how powerful the divine jade annulus was, the black-clothed man also released his magic power. He shot a strand of magic power at Su Fang's young infant that was burning and enveloped by the evil aura. The divine power contained in the magic power forcefully enveloped Su Fang's young infant and stripped away the burning evil aura. The black-clothed man thought that it would be very easy. However, when he saw the armor on the young infant, he could not help but exclaim, This brat has cultivated the Devil Tao's supreme cultivation technique, the Heavenly Devil Scripture. He used the Heavenly Devil Disintegration Seal to activate the young infant. No wonder he fell into berserk. Furthermore, there is a strong evil aura in his aura. Chi-chi. After some time, the black-clothed man's magic power seemed to have an effect. However, who would have thought that a boundless evil aura would suddenly erupt from within the young infant? This evil aura took the form of an enormous, evil pig. Within the pig's pupils were the images of countless junior commanders. The black-clothed man's aura surged. So this brat fell into berserk not only because he cultivated an energy art from the Tao of devils, but also because of you demons. You were suppressed by this brat, but you helped him enter berserk state in order to devour his consciousness and regain your freedom. The Vermilion Emperor roared viciously, Human, let's all mind our own business. I just want my freedom. What do you want? His magical treasures? His fleshly body? They have nothing to do with me. If you don't know what's good for you, then you might have a strong cultivation base, but I can control most of his consciousness. The Rakshasa Jade Vase roared, You junior commanders and senior commanders dare to betray your master? The Vermilion Emperor ignored it. You're just a trifling magical treasure's origin soul. You don't have the qualifications to speak here. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. A mere big goblin dares to be so impudent? Fine. Let's see how strong you bastards are. The black-clothed man continued to unleash his magic power. Then, a portion of his powerful consciousness entered the depths of Su Fang's young infant. All of the Su Fang's consciousnesses were being controlled by the evil aura. As he neared the center, he saw that only a few consciousnesses had yet to be devoured by the evil aura. However, there were still a large number of big goblins' evil consciousnesses floating around. As the Vermilion Emperor turned around, they spat out an evil tempest at the black-clothed man. Extinguish! The black-clothed man's consciousnesses roiled with pressure. Boom! When the pressure and the evil tempest collided, the black-clothed man's consciousnesses were forced back. When the Vermilion Emperor saw this, he laughed savagely. Haha, you're just a human. If you released all of your consciousnesses here, then you wouldn't be suppressed by me. Humph! Don't be so smug, you bastards. Just wait until I find a way to deal with you. The black-clothed man helplessly left. Your Majesty is amazing. Everyone, continue to work hard. Just a little bit more and we'll be able to control Su Fang's consciousnesses. Then, we'll be able to undo the shackles and everyone will be able to regain their freedom. The Vermilion Emperor became the king of the junior commanders. Even the flame-tongue monster, Heavenly Domain Snow Lion, Sky Snow Flying Raccoon, Leech King, Sky Covering Monster, and other big goblin were on his side. They wanted to devour Su Fang's final consciousnesses. Soon, several more consciousnesses were devoured. At this moment, only a consciousnesses were left. The consciousnesses were Su Fang's final consciousnesses. Once they were devoured, then Su Fang's consciousnesses would also be destroyed. It was the same as having their consciousnesses shattered by an expert and died. The Vermilion Emperor controlled the junior commander's evil power and pounced on Su Fang's consciousnesses. I've had enough of you. You think I'm smiling at you from the bottom of my heart? I'm just trying to make you let your guard down. The terrifying evil power pounced on Su Fang's consciousnesses. They began to be devoured by the evil power. Buzz. At the moment of life and death, a faintly discernible cold chi transformed into a cold silhouette. It seemed to be a woman. The woman directly ignored the demonic chi and entered Su Fang's mind. Where did this human come from? You dare to ruin my plans? I'll kill you. The Vermilion Emperor was shocked. At this critical moment, there was still a human who dared to kill his way in. How reckless! Chapter 577. Facing the Vermilion Emperor who wanted to eat her, the woman's projection remained motionless. Whoosh! The Vermilion Emperor opened his mouth, and the power of all the junior commanders roared along with him. An evil storm formed and the storm turned into a huge, evil pig. The evil pig bit at the mysterious woman. Bang! With a powerful bite, the mysterious woman would definitely be eaten by the Pig Horse King. However, the mysterious woman only shook slightly and was not affected at all. On the contrary, the Pig Horse King was instantly shattered. How can your mortal world have such a strong and indestructible young infant? No, this is not the young infant that mortals have. Are you an immortal? This is a young immortal. The Pig Horse King was dumbfounded. Even with him and the junior commander's terrifying attacks, they could not hurt the mysterious woman at all. He immediately understood that even if he released an even stronger young infant attack, he would not be able to hurt her. However, the mysterious woman did not say anything. Kill, kill, kill. This emperor does not believe that you can protect this brat forever. The Vermilion Emperor ordered. In the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda space, the 93 junior commanders burned their evil demonic aura again and injected it into the Vermilion Emperor's body. Little brother, Bai Ling, was sealed in the demonic aura. He could only watch the Vermilion Emperor attack again with Gu Shizhen. Facing so many junior commanders and the Vermilion Emperor, Gu Shizhen and Bai Ling were powerless. At this moment, in Su Fang's divine aperture, the black-clothed man, the divine image Jade Annulus, and the Rakshasa Jade Vasa's origin spirit floated together. A bloody light flew out from the depths of Su Fang's brain. Good fellow, this brat was able to cultivate the demonic book to such a level. His young infant is incomparably strong. It turns out that he has fused with the supreme treasure of the demonic path, the true demonic blood plate. The true demonic blood plate floated within the bloody light. The black-clothed man used Su Fang's aura as a defense and entered the true demonic blood plate. Where did the underworld aura come from? When he entered the deathly still true demonic blood plate, he was immediately frozen by the underworld aura, making it difficult for him to move. The black-clothed man also knew how powerful the underworld aura was. He was too afraid to move forward, but he released his will to look deeper. In the depths he saw Gui Gui, who was protecting one of Su Fang's wills. Good boy, so you've already made preparations. In order to prevent any accidents from happening to your young infant, you sealed a strand of your will in the true devil blood plate. This way, even if most of your young infant is shattered or your consciousness is devoured, you still have this strand of your will to reform your yuan spirit. To the black-clothed man, this brought about a series of surprises. He immediately flashed out of the true devil blood plate and returned to his divine aperture. He looked at Su Fang's main young nascent soul that was shrouded by the evil aura. I have an idea now. I will use the true devil blood plate's divine might to shatter the corroded young nascent soul. Any big goblin's evil will be shattered by the true devil blood plate. The black-robed man prepared to control the true devil blood plate. Buzz. Just as he activated his magic power, Su Fang's young nascent soul, which had been enveloped and devoured by evil, suddenly erupted with an illusory cold air. When this cold air swept out, even the black-clothed man immediately dodged. This was because the cold air had frozen the evil flames burning around Su Fang's young nascent soul, completely suppressing it. How is this possible? Could it be that this boy has some kind of special method or yuan spirit-type magic treasure in the depths of his young nascent soul? Not good. I'll take a look first and release as much of my yuan spirit's aura as possible. If something unexpected happens, I don't need to injure my yuan spirit. The black-clothed man quickly retreated and looked at Su Fang's young nascent soul that had been sealed by the cold air. Without knowing the situation, he wouldn't act rashly. At the same time, a large amount of yang energy poured into the divine aperture and was being devoured by the frozen yang nascent soul. After fusing with the yang energy, it turned into an illusory energy that immediately caused the frozen evil aura to disappear. In just a short while, Su Fang's yang nascent soul could no longer see the clear evil aura. Moreover, the young nascent soul's eyes slowly opened. Although they were empty, there was no more evil aura. Mysterious. His cultivation isn't outstanding, but he has the ability to surpass the cultivators of the mortal realm. The black-clothed man knew that Su Fang had already broken free from his berserk state. And in the depths of Su Fang's consciousness, the only consciousness that hadn't been devoured by the evil demonic aura suddenly released the yin and yang energy that was the fusion of cold air and yang energy. The surrounding evil aura was immediately suppressed by the yin and yang energy. The Vermilion Emperor's eyes almost exploded. No, impossible. Who are you? Why are you protecting him? However, the mysterious woman that controlled the cold air disappeared. She didn't say a single word from the moment she appeared to the moment she left. She probably looked down on the arrogant pig demon. I didn't expect that the disaster that caused me to fall into a berserk state was actually you, a pig demon, and you small commanders. In the depths of his consciousness, a large amount of the evil aura disappeared. The consciousness in the center suddenly turned into a lifelike Su Fang. His eyes exploded and released even more yin and yang energy that spread to the surroundings. Any evil demonic aura was devoured by the yin and yang energy. Su Fang looked at the floating Vermilion Emperor and the evil aura of the 93 small commanders. Li Haojie was right. Demons are demons and humans are humans. How can humans and demons trust each other? Su Fang, this emperor is an absolute big goblin, an undying god race. How can I be a servant to a human like you? This emperor will kill you now. Seeing that Su Fang had regained his consciousness, taking advantage of the time when Su Fang's consciousness was still recovering, the frightened Vermilion Emperor once again absorbed the energy of the small commanders. He spat out an evil big pig and pounced towards Su Fang. Don't forget that you have already been suppressed by me. It was unknown how cold Su Fang's consciousness was. When the Vermilion Emperor's mouth was about to bite, a vast godly aura directly struck the big pig. Furthermore, within the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda, the Vermilion Emperor's main body immediately burst into illusory fire cloud from his head. He immediately fell to the ground and screamed. Not only did the illusory fire cloud bring him pain, it also burned his demonic skin bit by bit. The evil will of the Vermilion Emperor in front of Su Fang's consciousness crumbled instantly as the junior commander's panicked expression crumbled. At this moment, most of the evil aura disappeared. Su Fang swallowed a large amount of consciousness in the surroundings. A speck of light dares to compete with the sun and moon. 1. Within the divine aperture. As the black-clothed man, divine image Jade Annulus, and Rakshasa Jade Qingping waited curiously, Su Fang's young infant suddenly shook. Its empty eyes suddenly shone with a divine light. "Senior, who are you?" Su Fang immediately locked onto the black-clothed man's consciousness. "Senior, thank you for saving me. Although this junior entered a berserk state and was invaded by the big goblin's consciousness, I still remember some things. If not for Senior, this junior might have died at the hands of heartless Grandma and the elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect. It is fate that I saved you. Let's talk outside." The black-clothed man's consciousness suddenly disappeared. Don't worry. I'm fine." Su Fang praised the divine image Jade Annulus and Rakshasa Jade Qingping. His young infant immediately fused with his physical body. On the snowy ground, Su Fang slowly opened his eyes and saw the black-clothed man standing in front of him with his hands behind his back. Only now did he see the rough outline of the man. He was a man in his 40s. He was dressed in black and had black hair. Coupled with the aura of nothingness, he was not someone from the mortal realm. The feeling he gave Su Fang was similar to the Lord of Five Poisons. However, he was certain that this black-clothed man's strength should be a bit stronger than the Lord of Five Poisons. "Look at what this is. This is why I came." The black-clothed man slightly raised his right hand and a white circle appeared in his hand. Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. Su Fang stared at the circle in shock. How could he not recognize the circle? It was the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle that was shackled around Bai Ling's neck. He immediately bowed to the black-clothed man. "Senior, could you be the 9th successor disciple of the Chaos King, Li Xingqiu?" "Senior Li?" The black-clothed man smiled. "The Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle is not on you, but you know it very well. I'm not Li Xingqiu. That person has been dead for hundreds of thousands of years. I'm just one of the slaves that he shackled with the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. My name is Mu Chen. I was once a powerhouse from a star domain that was far away from your Zhuotian realm." Mu Chen. He was not Li Xingqiu. He was just a slave that was similarly shackled by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle. However, Su Fang was shocked when he heard this. "Senior Mu is so powerful. Even Great Elder Xiao Yun and Heartless Granny had to retreat when they saw you. How could you be suppressed by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle?" "I'll have to explain it slowly." Mu Chen was still smiling, as if the countless years of shackling and waiting had cleared his mind. "Back then, my strength was about the same as Heartless Granny, who killed you. However, I met Li Xingqiu. He was too powerful. After I was seriously injured by him, he forced the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle into my neck. From then on, I became his slave. Take a look." After he finished speaking, his right hand slightly released a Xian Guang. Immediately, the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle that Su Fang was very familiar with appeared on Mu Chen's neck. He would never have thought that this powerhouse would be shackled by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle, just like Bai Ling. At this moment, Su Fang felt sympathy for him. "You have to understand that although Li Xingqiu shackled me, I'm not him. I'm just a cultivator that wants to break free from the Heavenly Neck Spirit Circle and ascend to the Great World. Therefore, I don't care about Li Xingqiu. I don't care if he's a tool or not." Mu Chen sighed. "I understand, Sister Bai." After Su Fang nodded, he sucked Bai Ling out of the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda. This is the last heavenly neck spirit circle that was refined by Li Xingqiu. Back then, Li Xingqiu had passed through a great tribulation and had the body of a celestial. Therefore, the material of the heavenly neck spirit circle that he refined came from the material of the celestial world that he obtained from the great world. It's incomparably sturdy. Greetings, Senior. When Bai Ling saw the other heavenly neck spirit circle, he suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. Su Fang also bowed. Senior must have come here for the heavenly neck spirit circle. I'll have to trouble Senior to remove the heavenly neck spirit circle on Sister Bai's neck. Mu Chen said, I did come here for the little crane's heavenly neck spirit circle. Removing its heavenly neck spirit circle is the same as removing the circle on my neck. However, in order to remove the circle, I have to go to the heavenly dipper world and gather all the circles in the secret training ground left behind by Li Xingqiu. Furthermore, this little crane has to make a blood oath to become the 10th successor disciple of the King of Chaos. Only then will the incantations on the heavenly neck spirit circle disappear. Blood oath, so we have to go to the heavenly dipper world? Su Fang was silent. Yes, we have to go to Li Xingqiu's corpse and make a blood oath in front of the inheritance of the King of Chaos. Only then can we remove the incantations on the heavenly neck spirit circle. Sister Bai, I can't leave the heavenly dipper world for the time being. Senior, can you wait for a period of time? We'll go to the heavenly dipper world after 100 years. That won't do. I've been shackled for so many years. I can't wait to go to the great world. I've had enough of the small world. Since you're injured, go to the heavenly dipper world. You can recover quickly there. Little brother, I'll go to the heavenly dipper world with Senior. You can come and find me in the future. Bai Ling said reluctantly. Su Fang was silent for a moment before he finally nodded. Senior, you must ensure Sister Bai's safety. At the same time, I'll regain my freedom. Why not? I can also complete the mission that Li Xingqiu gave me. Don't worry, I still have to help this little crane become an expert. Let's go. With a flash, Bai Ling disappeared into the sky under Mu Chen's control. Chapter 578. Su Fang wanted to see Bai Ling off, but it was a luxury. Mu Chen's cultivation was higher than Heartless Granny's, so naturally, his teleportation speed would reach an unimaginable level. This senior Mu Chen is very magnanimous. Maybe it's just as he said. At his level, his heart is no longer in the small world. This is the forbidden snow forest. The heavens really know how to play tricks on me. Back then, I met Mei Er here, which led to today's situation. Now I'm back in the forbidden snow forest. Forget it. The Celestial Sealing Sect and Zunv Pavilion will definitely search for me everywhere. Rather than leaving the Zhuotian world, I might as well hide in the forbidden snow forest. Furthermore, I can return to the Great Ape Demon Tomb and use the extreme Yin Ice Vein to cultivate my young infant, recover from my injuries, and increase my strength. Looking at the snowy plains, the aura quickly became familiar. After thinking for a while, he activated the instant space ring without hesitation and immediately disappeared from the edge of the forbidden snow forest. Storm. All kinds of natural dangers could not threaten Su Fang at this moment. After 10 breaths, he returned to the depths of the forbidden snow forest and activated his origin. Together with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda superpower, he passed through layers of ice. Soon, he found the broken ice layer and encountered many ice lice. Fortunately, these ice lice were all in deep slumber. Extreme Yin Ice Vein. I never thought that I, Su Fang, would see you again. He activated the 9 Yin Qi and merged it with his origin superpower to move the broken ice layer away. At this moment there was an astonishing extreme Yin Ice Vein under his feet. Hiding in the forbidden snow forest, the 2 major forces will not be able to find me. Wait until I recover from my injuries. I will definitely find them and get back at them. Especially that evil woman, she chased me all the way. After setting up the barrier, there was only a 30 feet wide ice layer space left. Sitting down, his breathing and heartbeat gradually calmed down. Seeing the ice layer and extreme ice vein, it felt like a lifetime ago. It was as if he was still fighting with the Night Spirit Clan's experts in the snowy plains, suppressing the heavenly snow raccoon and the heavenly snow lion under the 9 segments Earth Dragon. Why did he suddenly have such a feeling? It was as though he had never left this place. After that, he went to the Wu-Tan realm to seize the divine image Jade Annulus, killed Elder Qin Yang, and went to the mortal Emperor world to fuse with the Realm Lord's inheritance. Shaking his head with a sigh, he was sure that he was back. He took out a large number of spirit stones and placed them around him. Then, he activated the 9 Yang 9 transformations and began to absorb the energy of the extreme ice vein and the spirit stones. Adding in the natural energy began to flow into his body. He didn't enter the berserk state, and the blood transformation disappeared. His body was heavily injured, and even with the energy of the Great Circle, the Black Lotus True Body, and the Dragon Subduing Wood, it will take some time to recover. Apart from the Golden Origin Core, the Dragon Subduing Wood, and the Purple Aura Magic Spirit, all the energy in my body has been depleted. The same goes for the 6 Yang Meridians. If I want to recover, I will need at least several years of cultivation. Fortunately, I have the extreme ice meridians and a large amount of energy, so this is not a problem. After checking the situation, it was very serious. Moreover, the overdraft of his vitality was also very serious. I originally risked my life to obtain the human emperor's inheritance right under the nose of the Xinyuan Empire. I wanted to first return to the Zhuotian realm and secretly cultivate, preparing to destroy Prince Shui's heavenly gourd spirit tree. Then, my strength will increase, and I will secretly return to the human emperor world and completely merge with the small world. Now, all my previous plans have been ruined. I can't stay in the immortal sealing gate and take back the purple aura magic spirit from Xing Chongxing. Now, there is only one way. In the future, I will use my strength to suppress Xing Chongxing and forcefully take back the purple aura magic spirit. My Su Fang's life will usher in a brand new beginning. Just like when I destroyed the state of Zhao and stepped into the Crimson Firmament continent from the southern border. There are too many things to think about. I need some time to settle them down. I should recover some strength first. He cut open many wounds on his body, implanted the immortal fruit, and absorbed a few drops of the Icebound King's blood. There was only a small amount of the Icebound King's blood left. It probably wouldn't be long before this immortal's corpse completely disappeared. Under the impact of the energy, his body quickly recovered. Master. A thought came from the rune talisman in his body. Su Fang's situation was much better. He was currently communicating with the exalted Master Yuezhen. How is the situation in the immortal sealing gate? We did not catch Master, and we are at odds with the Zunv Pavilion. Now we are looking for Master everywhere. Zunv Pavilion is the same. This subordinate has been demoted to an elder. As long as you are in the immortal sealing gate, you will be able to help me take back the purple aura magic spirit in the future. Bear with it for a while. Wait for me to make a plan. I will not let you suffer in the future. This subordinate believes that Master will definitely make a comeback. After a few simple exchanges, Su Fang sealed the rune talisman. In fact, he was now more careful than before. He was more cautious. He had no choice. He did not know if the exalted Master Yuezhen would betray him. Just like the Vermilion Emperor and the 93 commanders. If the exalted Master Yuezhen betrayed him, he would use the rune talisman. With the help of the immortal sealing gates experts, he would follow the rune talisman's aura to find the forbidden snowy forest. South, his thought landed on the first floor of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Master. The 93 commanders were frightened when they saw Su Fang appear. They began to tremble. Su Fang only looked at Gu Shizhen. With a flick of his finger, the seal wrapped around his body immediately disappeared. On the other side, there was only one great commander. The Vermilion Emperor sneered unwillingly. Damn it. This emperor did not take this opportunity to break free from your control. I have already told all of you that I cannot tolerate sand in my eyes. Su Fang's sharp gaze landed on the Vermilion Emperor. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you're an ancient divine beast? You'll become my mount from now on. As for the position of Grand Commander, there's no place for you. You can only be my mount for all eternity. If I'm unhappy one day, it won't be too late to kill you. This emperor is not afraid of you. The Vermilion Emperor raised his body. Not afraid? Was he really not afraid? At least, Su Fang was very doubtful. He activated the Origin's sacred realm and moved his thought. A beam of mirror light flashed and hung high above the first layer of space, revealing a red light. The Vermilion Emperor struggled, wanting to escape. The Origin's sacred realm's power immediately enveloped him. The 9 Yang True Fire, which did not have any burning aura, followed the red light and engulfed the Vermilion Emperor. The Vermilion Emperor was burned from his human form and immediately broke free from his true body. No matter how terrifying an ancient divine beast was, it was just meat skewers in front of the 9 Yang True Fire. The Vermilion Emperor became a pig. To tell the truth, Su Fang did not know the power of the 9 Yang True Fire. This level of flame was not something he could control. In just a short while, the Vermilion Emperor's abdomen kept exploding. A pile of disgusting filth was discharged from his lower body. It was incomparably disgusting. The true fire burned it to ashes. What was the Vermilion Emperor feeling? After a round, his lower abdomen began to rumble again. An aura enveloped his head. It caused his lower body to swell by 3 times. The Vermilion Emperor was in so much pain that he shed tears of blood. He fiercely roared at Su Fang. This emperor curses you to never attain the Tao. You will never be able to attain immortality. You bastard, if you say I can't attain immortality, then I'll have a short life. I won't kill you. It's too easy to kill you. I'll let you be tortured again and again. Let's see how long you can last. Su Fang looked at the other commanders. You bastards dare to betray me? Do you think you can contend against me? You don't know the difference between life and death. In the future, you will obediently be a good bastard. If you want to obtain resources from me again, you can dream. In the future, you will slowly die of exhaustion. Once you die, I will suppress even more commanders. And, after saying that, a boundary suddenly appeared in the profound yellow space. This boundary shackled the Vermilion Emperor and the 93 commanders. Within the boundary, there was no more energy. The profound yellow space's ability was also isolated outside the boundary. From now on, any big goblin that was shackled here would not be able to absorb the energy from the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda like before. Without energy, Su Fang would use the Six Paths Pagoda to forcefully absorb their energy. Every time he absorbed their energy, there would be less of it, until all their energy was drained and they died. Master, this subordinate was wrong. The fire-tongued monster, Sky Snow Flying Raccoon, Heaven Domain Snow Lion, and the other commanders were filled with regret. Especially when they saw the Vermilion Emperor's miserable state, they all despaired. Gu Shizhen, you are the only one left in this space. This boundary will be under your control. Su Fang called Gu Shizhen to him. Gu Shizhen was glad that he did not betray the Vermilion Emperor. Otherwise, he would have ended up like this. You will control this boundary. These bastards have a lot of treasures. When I was suppressing them, I did not forcibly take away their treasures. If you need resources for your cultivation or see any treasures, just take them. Su Fang ordered and prepared to leave. Boom! Suddenly, an evil force seemed to burst out from the Vermilion Emperor's body that was shackled by the red light. It wanted to sneak attack Su Fang. The Vermilion Emperor spat out a blade light like a whip. "This Emperor wants you dead." "Master." Gu Shizhen's expression immediately changed. "Don't worry." Su Fang did not react. Crack! The Vermilion Emperor used his Tao artifact, the Wrath of the Demon God. He thought that this Tao artifact could break the shackles and then use the power of the Tao artifact to kill Su Fang. But he was wrong. Just as the Wrath of the Demon God burst out from his mouth, it was forced into the Vermilion Emperor's body by the invisible power of the red light. The Wrath of the Demon God was afraid of a primordial chaos sage. "Bastard, your Wrath of the Demon God is as weak as an egg in front of my ancient mirror. Be careful not to release it and it will be crushed by the ancient mirror." Seeing this, Su Fang left with a sneer. "Pig Horse King, you made us sit here and wait for death. We can't wait to skin you alive." All the junior commanders surrounded the Vermilion Emperor. They wanted to kill him, but they did not dare to approach the red light. However, the Vermilion Emperor felt even more despair. He was once again burned by the 9-yang true fire. From top to bottom, a lot of filth was expelled, but it was actually his essence. Every time the filth was expelled, it was actually purifying and forcibly stripping away his energy. Every time it was expelled, a portion of his energy would be forcibly incinerated. He estimated that he would not be able to wait for long before he would be tortured to death. His consciousness returned. He opened up many holes in his body and planted immortal fruit slices. The true devil blood plate was also in his divine aperture, occupying above the yang nascent soul. The yang nascent soul was absorbing the special energy from the extreme yin ice vein. Coupled with the heavenly devil disintegration seal, the yang nascent soul was constantly transforming and was quickly recovering. A portion of the extreme yin ice vein below Su Fang had even started to melt. Since the energy was being absorbed by Su Fang, the extreme yin ice vein would naturally melt. However, it did not melt even a little bit, which was not worth mentioning for the huge extreme yin ice vein. The Black Lotus true body in his body was also continuously producing blood threads due to the extreme yin ice vein's energy. The blood threads were becoming stronger and more solid. "This time, it is all thanks to you, Protecting Master is you-er's responsibility. The stronger Master's cultivation is, the more powerful you-er will be in the future." Su Fang once again fused with the Divine Image Jade Annulus. This time, the Divine Image Jade Annulus had contributed greatly. Of course, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda also played an important role. When Heartless Grandma's attack penetrated the Divine Image Jade Annulus defense, a portion of the energy was neutralized by the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Otherwise, his body would have turned into meat paste. Chapter 579. The extreme yin ice vein melted little by little. It was nothing to the enormous extreme yin ice vein. However, Su Fang absorbed this insignificant energy, and his young infant recovered at an astonishing rate. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. All of a sudden, a beam of tribulation energy shot out from his body. Am I about to break through to the second layer of the catastrophe stage? Feeling the tribulation energy about to burst out, he immediately checked his body. It turned out that after a few years of cultivation, his physical injuries had mostly recovered. His 6 yang meridians and energy had also recovered. Every breakthrough to the catastrophe stage required an astonishing amount of energy. Activating his origin ability and fusing with the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, he used the 9 yin qi and began to leave the extreme yin ice vein, passing through the endless ice layer. When he arrived at the forest floor, he looked at the terrifying storm above. This place was the best place to undergo tribulation. The natural barrier's complex power would perfectly disperse his tribulation energy and aura. He summoned Gu Shizhen and had him hide in the dark to protect him. He built an altar, took out various resources, and began to break through his physical body. He also consumed a life-seizing recreating pill with a pill spirit. After stepping into the catastrophe stage, ordinary pills were no longer of much use to Su Fang. The best pill was the life-seizing recreating pill. If the bone-strengthening pill could reach the catastrophe stage, it could also help his cultivation. After swallowing this rare life-seizing recreating pill, his physical body's tribulation energy, and vitality were all exploding. A heavenly tribulation appeared in the terrifying snowstorm above. It was obvious that the heavenly tribulation had 2 layers. This meant that Su Fang was breaking through to the second layer of the catastrophe stage. Qi. Many heavenly lightning and earthly fire were forming in the 2 layers of the heavenly tribulation. It was heavenly lightning and earthly fire again. Su Fang frowned. How can there be heavenly lightning and earthly fire after reaching the second layer of the catastrophe stage? The divine image Jade Annulus said, is not very sure about this. It should be different for each person undergoing tribulation. Each tribulation is different. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire are terrifying, but how can they be shattered? The heavenly tribulation was still brewing. Su Fang had already used his true qi to form a giant. The 2 giant palms extended slowly. At this moment, some golden aura appeared around Su Fang's body, transforming into an obvious armor made of flesh. Su Fang had fused more of the invincible golden body into the flesh fetus armor and the Herculean palm into the heaven worship palm technique. These 2 divine abilities came from the colossal Vajra body, which was a godly class energy art. Since he wasn't a disciple of the celestial sealing sect, there was no need for him to hide himself. The celestial sealing sect's 7 great divine abilities couldn't even compare to the illusory fire cloud. Even the heaven-worshipping palm art was superior to the 7 great divine abilities of the celestial sealing sect. The immortal sealing scripture was the most miraculous thing in the immortal sealing sect. It was not a divine ability, but the cultivation experience of countless experts in the immortal sealing sect. Chia great calamity immediately descended. Heavenly lightning fell like a waterfall. The reverence heaven giant suddenly swung its arms, infusing the Herculean godly palm with the reverence heaven palm. Boom zzz. He pushed his palms forward and struck the tribulation heavenly lightning. Instantly, the heavenly lightning was shattered into pieces. Heavenly lightning and earthly fire are strong, Yang Qi said. But they're only as strong as the 5th level of catastrophe. My true strength has long since reached the peak of catastrophe. This tribulation doesn't have earthly fire. That means the second tribulation will be the strongest. If any other cultivator in the world could see this, they would be filled with envy and jealousy. Everyone feared tribulation, especially heavenly lightning and earthly fire. But in front of Yang Qi, they weren't even worth mentioning. Qi. In the blink of an eye, the second tribulation descended. This was true heavenly lightning and earthly fire. The heavenly lightning burned, and the earthly fire burned. Once they merged, they would become heavenly lightning, and earthly fire would burn people to ash. According to Su Fang's estimation, this tribulation was about as strong as the 6th level of catastrophe. It was truly shocking, and surpassed the limits of any cultivator in the mortal world. Most cultivators in minor worlds were people who could transcend levels. Those who could go from the 2nd to the 4th level of catastrophe were geniuses. Those who could reach the 5th level of catastrophe could be counted on one's fingers. And the tribulation Su Fang was facing had reached the 6th level of catastrophe. It was equivalent to a cultivator at the 2nd level of catastrophe in a minor world being killed. This tribulation had surpassed the limits of a cultivator at the second level of catastrophe. However, the tribulation was underestimating Su Fong too much. Was he an ordinary person who transcended levels? No, his ability to transcend levels was unprecedented, and would never be surpassed in the future. The heavenly lightning and earthly fire fell. The Reverence Heaven Giant still had two fierce giant palms. They defied the heavens and struck the heavenly lightning and earthly fire. The two forces in the air tore apart the terrifying snowstorm. Not long after, the heavenly lightning and earthly fire began to weaken, and then disappeared. Su Fong's physical body welcomed the destruction. A mysterious aura descended from the tribulation, allowing Su Fong to recover a little. The second level of catastrophe is still not enough. Compared to Heartless Granny, it's nothing. It's just that breaking through to the catastrophe realm isn't easy. It's impossible to be like before. But at least my current strength has completely entered the Ascension realm. I can fight against giants like Jin Zhongkong and Elder Ling Shua face to face. After a period of time, the tribulation disappeared. Su Fong began to devour all kinds of energy, striving to become stronger. Crimson Firmament Continent Immortal Sealing Sect. Core Dao Field. Dozens of fragrant Jade faction members gathered outside Huang Lingyao's Dao Field. Following the opening of a door, the women knew that Huang Lingyao had returned from training and happily entered the Dao Field. I didn't expect Su Fong to end up like this. Behind the Dao Field, several women sat around Huang Lingyao. Lan Haiqing was among them. The other women were telling Huang Lingyao everything that had happened between the Celestial Sealing Gate, Zunv Pavilion, and Su Fong. Huang Lingyao looked at them and sneered. This guy is quite cunning. I tried to sound him out several times in the past, hoping to find out the secret of the Xianjia Gate. But this guy's mouth is tight. I didn't expect him to deceive the entire sect, and instead let the Zunv Pavilion benefit. He brought this upon himself. If he had sincerely worked for me back then and revealed the secret of the Xianjia Gate, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Another disciple said, Fong Yu didn't die. It seems he was rescued by someone. But I heard he has already fallen into the Devil Dao. Even if he lives, he'll only be a Devil Dao cultivator in the future. Whether he lives or dies is meaningless to me. Back then, I only secretly helped him because he could help me deal with Prince Shui, Xing Chongxing, and the Xianjia Gate. But now he's even tricked me. He deserves this fate. Huang Lingyao shook his head. As for Lan Haiqing, he remained silent, quietly listening to their conversation. Another core Dao Field. Good. The Crown Prince faction members were gathered at Prince Shui's Dao Field. Prince Shui had already returned from the human emperor world and the primordial god world to the Zhuotian world. Xueling, the Crown Prince, and a few other trusted aides were currently reporting to Prince Shui about how Su Fong had been chased down by the two great sections. Although I've heard about it before, now that I'm back, I find it very interesting. Fong Yu is arrogant, but he's a scheming person. He thought that just because he became a disciple of the Sovereign Dao, he could rise above others and fight against me. Now that he's ended up like this, he's suffering the consequences of his own actions. Immediately pass down orders. Double the rewards for every member of the Crown Prince faction. Tonight, gather the higher-ups. I'm going to hold a banquet to congratulate everyone. Fong Yu is finished. We've finally gotten rid of that thorn in our side. Furthermore, Crown Prince, you've reached the Ascendant Transformation realm. You're now a top figure. That's worth celebrating. Reaching the Ascendant Transformation realm is just the first step. Next, I'll go to the Heaven Gourd world and try to steal the Heaven Gourd spirit tree. With it, I'll be able to obtain the Zhuotian world's essence. At that time, I'll be able to become the ruler of the Zhuotian world. In the future, the Crown Prince faction won't just be a subordinate of the Immortal Sealing Sect. It'll also be a top power in this starry river. Tonight, I'm going to celebrate. It's been a long time since I've received such a pleasant surprise. Prince Shui smiled proudly. The experts below him were also very pleased. I've finally gotten my revenge. My biggest regret is that I didn't personally kill Fang Yu. Indeed, indeed. The Crown Prince sighed. He and Xueling had been looking forward to tearing apart Su Fang's skin and tearing apart his tendons. Within the Elders' Hall. In the depths of the hall was a sealed space. Even the elders had to be summoned before they could enter. Xiao Yun and Daoist Wuzhen were seated at the front. Yuan Tianzong, Jin Chongkong, Elder Ling Shua, Exalted Master Yuezhen, and the other elders were all gathered at the center. There were over 30 of them. Daoist Wuzhen swept his gaze over them. The leader is furious that Fang Yu betrayed the sect. Although he has fallen to the Devil Dao and will definitely die in the future, the sect must find him and bring him back so that he can be publicly punished. Other than that, there's also the Zunv Pavilion and the Xianjia Gate. They killed quite a few of our disciples in order to capture Fang Yu. We've also killed a large number of their disciples. Since we're mortal enemies, there's no need for us to be polite. We'll fight over the Xianjia Gate with them. Soon, we'll have Elder Yu lead a group of our sect's experts to secretly infiltrate the Xianjia Gate. We'll fight over the secrets of the Zunv Pavilion's Dao item. Xiao Yun continued, while we're fighting over the Xianjia Gate, the leader must also start planning a thorough attack on the Zunv Pavilion. We'll destroy the Zunv Pavilion and seize their foundation. Otherwise, the Zunv Pavilion will attack us soon. Everyone, go back and raise your elite disciples. Yes. The elders' gathering ended. Snow Wind Continent, forbidden snowy forest. Deep in the snowy plains, a dangerous snowstorm was raging. Li Haojie was standing on his flying sword. Brother Su. Brother Li. Su Fang immediately appeared. It's good that you're fine. I didn't expect that not long after you returned to the Immortal Sealing Sect, there would be news of you betraying the Immortal Sealing Sect and being hunted down in the Zunv Pavilion. It's good that you're fine. The Immortal Sealing Sect wants to obtain the Xianjia Gate from me, and so does the Zunv Pavilion. For the Xianjia Gate, I can't even be considered a chess piece. Brother Li, this time, I called you to the forbidden snowy forest because I wanted to work with you to deal with those two big goblin. The strongest big goblin in the forbidden snowy forest should be the 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Ice Silkworm Sovereign. The Ice Silkworm Sovereign doesn't know much about them. In the past, I suppressed a big goblin that followed the 9-segment Earth Dragon, the Heaven Domain Snow Lion. Using it, you and I can easily infiltrate the 9-segment Earth Dragon's lair. Then, you can use the Origin Suppressing Demon Transforming Heavenly Book while I use my Dao artifact. With 2 Dao artifacts and our strength, we can't take down the 9-segment Earth Dragon. I'm very confident that both of us are Big Goblin's nemesis. However, Brother Su suddenly wants to deal with this big goblin. What's your motive? I don't have any motive. I just want to imprison a big goblin and increase my overall strength. As for the future, it will definitely be useful. Since I'm here and understand the 9-segment Earth Dragon, I can't let go of this opportunity. Moreover, I might not have a foothold in the Zhuotian domain in the future. I have to plan early. Then it's decided. Heaven Domain Snow Lion, bring us to the 9-segment Earth Dragon's lair. If you're the slightest bit slippery, I won't let you off easily. After the two finished their discussion, they stepped on the Heaven Domain Snow Lion's back and flew towards the depths of the snowy plains. Chapter 580. The Heavenly Snow Lion was naturally familiar with this place. After passing through many layers of ice and caves, they didn't encounter any cultivators or big goblin. Buzz. At this time, the rune talisman in his body moved. Junior apprentice brother, are you all right? Do you need my help? Activating the rune talisman was what Lan Haiqing was worried about. Lan Haiqing, we won't be on the same side in the future. Forget it. If you get too close to me, who knows what Huang Lingyao will do to you in the future. Since we're not on the same side, why keep in contact? He completely sealed Lan Haiqing's rune talisman and didn't say a word. Huang Lingyao. That was an existence even more terrifying than Prince Shui. Now that he had fallen out with the immortal sealing sect and become enemies, if he kept in contact with Lan Haiqing and was discovered, Lan Haiqing's fate wouldn't be any better. About an hour later, the two of them arrived at an ice cave deep in the Earth's core, with the heavenly snow lion leading the way. There were many ice caves densely packed together. If no one led the way, Su Fang and Li Haojie wouldn't have been able to reach this place. Master, the 9-section Earth Dragon built the Earth Dragon Palace on a frozen underground river. It has more than 100 big goblins under its command. Some of them are as strong as this subordinate. The heavenly snow lion continued. The 9-section Earth Dragon's strength is about the same as Heartless Granny's. Especially in this world of ice, it's stronger than Heartless Granny. So what if it's strong? Brother Li is a Yao master. I can deal with any big goblin. Why should I be afraid of it? Bring us to the Earth Dragon Palace. Yes. The heavenly snow lion turned into a white-robed man after replying. After experiencing the betrayal of the Vermilion Sovereign, the heavenly domain snow lion knew how powerful Su Fang was. It still dared to be dishonest. If it didn't, it knew that Su Fang would immediately kill it. They passed through many more ice caves. Soon, the three of them arrived at a place that could instantly freeze everything. Master, there are 9-section Earth Dragon experts secretly guarding the ice cave on the right. There are indeed several powerful big goblins. Li Haojie sensed it. He continued to head deeper into the ice cave while concealing his aura. At this moment, the cold chi was becoming more and more terrifying. Li Haojie could no longer withstand it. In the end, he had to use his Dao artifact to defend himself before he could continue following Su Fang closer to the Earth Dragon Palace. Finally, an underground ice river appeared in their line of sight. It was unknown how long the underground glacial river was, but the silver-gray color extended all the way into the Earth's core. 3 kilometers away, on the widest ice river, there were more than a dozen ice palaces. The centermost ice palace was shaped like a centipede. The 9-section Earth Dragon is a centipede. Its innate abilities are poison and cold chi. The cold chi it spits out can instantly freeze any Calamity Realm cultivator. Even ordinary Ascendant Transformation Realm cultivators would be frozen if they encountered it. The Celestial Snow Lion continued. As for the 9-segment Earth Dragon's poison, even we are afraid of it. There is no antidote for it, and only the 9-segment Earth Dragon can neutralize it. That's why it became one of the 2 kings of this place. It relied on its innate poison and cold chi to dominate for tens of thousands of years. Killed countless humans and greater demons. It created a human bone pool to imprison cultivators inside. It devoured their essence chi and captured human female cultivators as maids for him to play with, dual cultivate, and extract their yin yuan while they were still alive. Then we have to suppress it. After discussing for a while, they decided that using the heavenly snow lion to sneak in wouldn't be effective. Su Fang and Li Haojie both agreed to directly attack the 9-section Earth Dragon. However, they needed the heavenly snow lion to bring them into the depths of the ice palace. At the very least, they had to go to the 9-section Earth Dragon's palace. Only then could they launch a sneak attack. The heavenly snow lion was scared out of its wits. It seemed that the 9-section Earth Dragon was too powerful. Without any other choice, it could only bring the 2 of them to quietly approach the ice palace. They went around many layers of ice. Fortunately, it was familiar with everything here. There were more than 100 big goblin auras. Most of them were in the underground palace. The rest were either out capturing humans or cultivating in other places. There were probably only 70 to 80 big goblins in the Earth Dragon Palace. From time to time, there would be a few big goblins patrolling. However, they were just passing by. They weren't worried that someone would kill their way into the Earth Dragon Palace. Who would be a match for the 9-section Earth Dragon here? This is the 9-section Earth Dragon Palace. After a few hours, the three of them passed through the other ice palaces and arrived at the center of the ice palace. It was the 9-section Earth Dragon's Dao field. I sensed it. It is indeed the peerless big goblin. Li Haojie and Su Fang hid outside the ice wall. After sensing it, Li Haojie reached out with his left hand and opened his palm. A page appeared in his palm. Strangely, a blood-red centipede appeared on the page. 9-section Earth Dragon. The heavenly domain snow lion was scared out of its wits. Su Fang exclaimed, "Brother Li's Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly book is truly miraculous. It is able to manifest the big goblin's form at such a distance. Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly book combined with my cultivation ability." A large number of big goblin charged out. "Haha, we're going to play with this human to death. He's actually so bold to charge into this king's territory. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The 9-section Earth Dragon was too strong. Even Li Haojie's suppressing demon transforming heavenly book was unable to suppress him. Whoosh! At this moment an illusory figure covered in cold chi flashed above the 9-section Earth Dragon. Without making a sound. His speed was indescribably fast. Buzz! The figure was Su Fang. He clapped his left hand, and a mirror appeared and shot out a red light. This red light was also extremely fast. Just as it was about to hit the 9-section Earth Dragon, he seemed to notice it. He turned around and released a shocking demon chi field. The 9-section Earth Dragon didn't care about the red light at all. When he saw Su Fang, he could already tell that he was just a second-stage calamity human. Was he afraid? Therefore, he released his chi field and let the red light hit him. But he didn't expect that the red light would burn the demon chi field. The 9-section Earth Dragon didn't know why, but he was frightened. Just as he was about to shatter the red light had already touched his body. Bang! He released a shocking amount of demon chi, trying to shatter the red light. But such a powerful demon chi was useless. It didn't affect the red light at all. Instead, the red light greedily wrapped around his body. Pa pa pa! On the other side, several big goblin charged at Li Haojie. Li Haojie's body was suddenly surrounded by the might of a Dao artifact. A true flame shot out, forcing the big goblin to dodge. Even if they couldn't deal with the 9-section Earth Dragon, they could still deal with the big goblin. Kill that brat! The other big goblin were all as strong as the heavenly domain snow lion. They charged at Su Fang. Reckless. Blood hell wolf smoke. Formless fire cloud saber. Su Fang flicked his finger. Two divine abilities appeared. One was the poisonous blood hell wolf smoke, and the other was the shocking illusory fire cloud. Hoo, two different flames landed in the surroundings, burning the big goblin. They spat out demon chi to suppress the flames. But how could they suppress Su Fang's power? "You little demons, I'll let you know how powerful I am." Su Fang activated his origin energy, combining it with the 9-yin chi. In an instant, ice began to condense within the cold air. These ice cubes were formed directly from the void, not from the surrounding cold ice. The ethereal true scripture is really powerful. It allows me to use the 9-yin chi and the Zhuotian realm's origin energy to easily create matter from the void in this world of cold air. In other words, cold ice. Not. With a claw of his 5 fingers, a layer of ice formed within the burning flames, separating him from the 9 segments of the Earth Dragon in 2 different worlds. Chapter 581. The Great King is about to be suppressed by the humans. That's right. Quickly run. This Earth Dragon Palace is about to become the territory of the humans. Before the Earth Dragon was sucked into the pagoda, the big goblin that had passed by Lihaojia were unable to break through Su Fang's flame and ice defenses to save the Earth Dragon. Now they were all scared out of their wits and began to flee in all directions, no longer caring about the Earth Dragon. Lihaojia let out a sigh of relief, and his Dao artifact aura also disappeared. Even a monster hunter like him would find it hard to resist the encirclement of several big goblins. However, his young soul was different. He could see a black coffin in his eyes. That was his extraordinary young soul. His young soul helped him resist the big goblin's primordial spirit. Humans. At this moment, the Earth Dragon was completely sucked into the pagoda and locked in the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. After Su Fang and Lihaojia met, they originally wanted to leave, but at the same time, they thought that the Earth Dragon Palace might still have many treasures. Furthermore, they also sensed several strands of true qi from the Earth Dragon Palace. They flew into the Earth Dragon's Ice Palace. Behind them, they found 7 female cultivators. It seemed that they were all captured slaves. After saving the slaves, they used their defenses to protect them. Otherwise, in this deep world, the cold air would instantly freeze them. This is the human bone pond. In the depths of the ice palace, Lihaojia stood outside an ice pond. The ice pond was created from a special kind of cold ice. Within the ice pond, there were piles of human bones that caused Lihaojia to raise his eyebrows. The Earth Dragon has done many evil deeds. Now that it's in my hands, it won't have a good life. Su Fang also arrived at the human bone pond. In the end, he used his divine ability to bury the ice pond. He also found a large amount of magic treasures, spirit stones, and empty pouches. There was also a large amount of ice spring spirit water that could only be found in the forbidden snow forest. He collected a large amount of treasures and split them evenly with Lihaojia. Just as he was about to leave, the Heavenly Domain Snow Lion appeared from Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda after receiving permission. Master, there should be an origin soul essence that contains the power of the world under the ice palace of the 9 segments Earth Dragon. He sealed it in the depths of the underground palace and concealed it with cold air. It's difficult to sense it. I think so too. How could such a powerful big goblin not have any peerless treasures? Let me sense it. Since it's an origin essence, I should be able to sense it. He immediately released the Zhuo Tian realm's origin energy from his body, penetrating layer after layer into the ice of the underground palace. Demon King Supreme and Luan Mo also entered the true demon blood plate and took the opportunity to cultivate the Yin underworld qi. After leaving the underground palace, Jiang Yi kept the barrier and used his great divine ability to bury the underground palace. The 3 of them quickly flew out of the Zhua Heaven realm and entered the heavenly ship. Not long later, they could see planet Qilian, Beichen Zone, and Spirit Mist World. Su Fang consulted Li Ziqing. I have some connections with one of the mine families, the Gu clan. Senior, what do you think about finding a training ground in planet Qilian? If you set up a dojo there, the exhibition will be restricted in many ways. I think the North Star Realm and the Spirit Mist Realm are the best. These 2 are both small cultivation realms. Let's go to the Spirit Mist Realm. I have 2 old friends there, and they have a good relationship with us. They were once not imprisoned in the Xianjia Gate, and we often go to distant small realms to train. They also have a lot of connections in the Spirit Mist Realm. Let's take a look first. Spirit Mist World should also have some trading companies from Immortal Sealing Sect and Zuanv Pavilion. But it doesn't matter. You have never been to Spirit Mist World. The overall cultivation forces there still have to go through the Joie Heaven realm. Li Ziqing pointed at a planet in the middle. Spirit Mist World. The heavenly ship immediately flew towards the small world. During this time, Li Ziqing introduced a lot of knowledge about the Spirit Mist World. Su Fang gradually understood the unknown small world. Li Ziqing also had a map of the Spirit Mist World. Spirit Mist World is not bad. From here to Joie Heaven Realm, it will only take 3 days with the heavenly ship. If we use the mystical door, we can reach there in a few hours. This will also make it convenient for me to return to Joie Heaven Realm at any time. There's another advantage. I can also go to planet Qilian directly and cooperate with the Gu clan. Su Fang was full of yearning for the Spirit Mist World. In fact, he wanted to build a force. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.